Okay, so eerie music in the background. Just so you know, it's titled Eerie Investigation. So, nothing too sinister for tonight, I'm sure. We're up to session 50 for this group, which has had 130 total game sessions, and it's my number 1159th session. I keep track of the sessions since I started running again.
Okay.
For tonight, we have Stefan playing Raya.
Yep. I'm playing Raya, who's certainly not a wizard.
Who's totally not a
wizard?
wizard.
Who's not a wizard.
Who's totally not a wizard is the label.
Yep.
It's the brand type of
Not
wizard.
A wizard.
That everyone keeps on saying.
It's sort of saying, I can't believe it's not butter.
Totally not a wizard.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, you're a druid. Right.
Well, technically, yes. But I think that was supposed to be revealed when we left the temple, but I think I missed that game or something.
You did.
Alright.
Yeah.
You apparently had a touching moment with God, and then forgot to tell anyone
I
about
was
it.
there for the previous game thinking that was going to be the game we were going to end up leaving, and then it wasn't. And I was like, oh, okay. And then apparently I was sick or something the next one, so...
Right. You're stuck.
Yeah. So I'm a druid. Yep.
You are, and then we have Martin, who is playing Willie,
Willie Toscobble, the halfling bard,
who's totally a gnome.
who's totally a gnome, and yeah, that's about it. that's all I got.
At least you aren't currently serving the community.
What does that mean?
They turn you into a battery and plug you into their system.
Okay, good. Right. Is that like a Matrix reference? Or?
No, that's community
No, it's
service.
actual game.
They
Right.
literally use you as batteries.
Okay.
They don't actually give you any consciousness, no virtual environment. You're just sitting staring at a closed down container.
Right. Okay.
And that's the punishment they have for bad people or for the really good people of their community.
And are we still in the underworld?
You are still in the hollow world.
Okay, cool.
Moving on to Jeremy.
Yes, good evening all. I'm playing Dimitrios.
Totally not the
Who's-
wizard.
Also not a wizard, that's right, because he's a sage, a tutor, a mentor,
He is a wizard.
someone obviously willing and able to give us his vast knowledge.
More willing to give than most people are to
We wouldn't
receive.
do any criminal activity like wizardry, not at all.
No, they can't.
That's not asshole.
Well, it is illegal in most places he grew up.
And yes, okay. We'll find out shortly, but yes, not only are we still in the hollow world, but we're almost in the hollow world sun.
Right.
They've gone to the brightest part and then decided to go into darkness.
Okay.
So, next person there we have is Grace.
I am playing Little Miss. I am a
Also totally not a wizard.
I'm a sorcerer. I am theoretically still a pirate, but I've been on some quite extended shore leave. Currently a little bit mortified for a couple of reasons. One being that I found out that a whole bunch of the magic I was taught is actually evil, and the other thing that's horrified her is by not knowing that and using it in the hollow world, I've basically summoned an avatar of Thanatos who we're fighting, and the Grim Reaper is now going to chase us down, and he's very strong, and we haven't really figured out a way to deal with that yet.
Yeah, so she summoned the Grim Reaper personally.
Right.
He now knows her name.
Okay.
And mine.
Well, you just inconvenienced him.
Oh, okay. I thought he would have wanted to know my name seeing as I slowed him down.
Well, for him, he's not about the immediate result. He now knows you exist. He may not know your name. He knows you exist.
Okay.
He knows her name.
Well, that's not...
Death can afford to be patient.
He comes for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't plan for the immediate future. He's very good at getting descendants as well. So the other person we have online tonight is David in the background, currently setting up a campsite. Probably still setting up the campsite. So while he's doing that, I will give you a quick rundown of where we are. Speak up if you like, David.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, I'm David. I play Pawan Goranov, who doesn't care about all that nonsense magic crap and just wants to ride a horse into battle, but probably never will.
The ongoing story of the horse rider who left his horse behind.
What on? Up
Yeah.
top. Right, okay.
The horseless horseman?
Yeah, unlike the headless horseman, you're the horseless horseman. Does that mean you're just a man?
Ouch.
What's this Justin nonsense? Like, clearly the most superior race of all, obviously.
This means he's a really, really poor Ethangarian.
That is correct.
Oh, Christ, I got 3 words here, none of them are nice.
And she did point out a major point. Based on your people's belief system, you are currently the poorest member of your society. So, not rubbing it in at all.
The best part is the richest person in your society is your apprentice.
So, you are currently, you started a quest for Redrian, where you were sent to find 2 goblin princes. Well, specifically one, and the other one in case, if you were lucky. And a missing minister for Galantry. And while you're doing this quest, the gods took a leave of absence. Except for 2. And in that time, you also found a tunnel going to Hollowworld and some crazy elves who took you there. So coming out into the Hollow World, you saw a red sun and a day that never changed. So constant noonday sunlight, and there were little islands floating up above, circling the sun in front of you. So the sun doesn't move, but you see little islands moving around it.
Yeah.
Which you later find out is how they track time in Hollow World is by the movement of those floating continents.
Ah, cool.
Because they float at a regular schedule.
Yeah.
You saw a big flash of stuff go up into the sky that turned everything orange for a time. And while it was orange, the limitations of Hollow World had lifted. But no one tried anything during that time. So
Yeah.
you didn't actually get a chance to make use of throwing magic without limitation. But you're not sure you'd really want to throw magic without limitation because what that entails to the world here might be rather nasty.
Yep.
You snuck to the capital. You had a few encounters along the way of the Azcan people, which is where they were powering this big light-changing event, and turned out to be something called the Smoking Mirror. So, blowing the top off the Azcan temple, in the middle of the High Priest ceremony, and sacrificing the king of the Azcans to his own ceremony,
Right.
while blowing the top off the temple. They managed to make the entire populace angry with them. Fancy that. You kill their king, their high priest, and their temple in the same moment.
Okay.
So then they decided to invade the temple's lower depths, because that was the safe space, where they then find a temple to a different god.
Okay.
They pass some tests to that god, and amusingly enough, Dimitri was the one who succeeded at the test of compassion, where everyone else failed.
Because he's just such a nice guy.
Good at faking it. Fake it till you make it.
There was a test. There were 3 tests that were put to, and each of them was a scene where they had to tell how they resolved the scene. And
Oh, so I wasn't there for that game then?
you weren't there for that game.
Oh, thank God.
It kind of boiled down to,
But it's okay because Dimitri covered for you.
yeah, it kind of boiled down to the rest of us said, oh, we'll just logic this and don't worry about it. Dimitri gives her a hug, it's like, there you go, you passed. It's like, oh.
Yeah, they were trying to puzzle solve and not actually listen to the problem.
Yeah. So we mucked up.
So they were basically telling an emotional person who was very upset, get over it.
Okay.
We'd
like to
See,
Well,
Plum
well,
called
that's the bad
bullshit
guys.
on that because he was getting ready to kill their parents in revenge.
Yeah, I'll go back to bad guys.
that was also the interesting sideline. There was a lot of plans for revenge in there too. I thought I'd skip over that part because I thought most of you wouldn't want to revisit your revenge plans. During a test for...
Well, Plum still disagrees, so, you know.
So they managed to succeed on a quest for the god of light. And so they jumped on a boat and flew to the sun.
Okay.
Nothing crazy there going on at all.
Yeah.
And then they stopped next to this giant floating mirror, which they then stepped out on and stepped into.
Okay.
And so that was a big chunk of the sessions you missed.
Cool.
Amusingly, that was many months of playing to get there.
Months.
Which I said I was going to streamline it for you.
Okay, thank you.
And so now that they're in the mirror, they've now found out that this is a pocket universe.
Right, within the mirror world.
So the mirror itself is a pocket universe.
Yeah.
And inside it, people are encouraged by picking berries to help expand the mirror universe.
Ah.
And the edges are constantly growing. And you can't see what's happening unless you pick berries. So the more berries you have, the further you can see.
Right, so the outer world and the inner world are not contiguous.
They are.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the inner world is right inside the outer world. I can actually show a picture of that.
Yeah, and so you're saying the mirror world is separate again, is that correct?
Yeah, no, so the mirror world is effectively, apparently, a pocket universe inside the hollow world. However, the effects of the mirror world,
Can you see that picture there?
Yes.
So
the effects of the mirror world
that is exactly what
cause
it
the
is.
sun, the
Okay.
hollow world sun to be corrupted before it hits the interior of the hollow world.
So the world is encroaching on the outer world.
Well, the inner world is also what gives the outer world life.
Okay.
So when you
So the pocket dimension is corrupting how the hollow world works,
That's right.
and if we don't fix that, the hollow world's corruption will eventually spread to our world. Is that basically it?
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Well said.
And basically the corruption of it is very much adding the chaos factor to the world.
Do we know whether or not the mirror world is Thanatos' doing?
Well, as you have learnt, he's the only god currently active.
Well, no, he's not the only one.
Well, Redrian's around.
Redrian's currently not around.
Well, okay, no, because...
No, but
Okay.
Kimru's around.
He is around, but he's
Simarak,
not.
I mean.
Simarak is around, but he's not active. Thanatos has trapped him.
Right.
The only difference being the fact that, yes, Thanatos is the only one that's not currently being trapped, and of all the ones that are trapped, Simarak's the only one that we've actually made be able to have any contact with.
Yeah.
Not
And
necessarily particularly active, but at least he's forming contact.
And Simarak was, he actually told some of you he had stayed behind when the other gods had left to fix a tear in time.
Which is why I thought he was active. That's what he
And
told me.
and so he was then trapped by Thanatos. So there are two gods in your current timeline:
Yeah.
Simarak
Okay.
and Thanatos. Thanatos
Yes,
is the only
Simarak's trapped.
Thanatos is the only active god, and you're the only people that Simarak is able to provide assistance to. So you're besides Thanatos's clerical support and any pantheon he provides his support to, you're the only people outside of that who have clerical or druidic power, or even warlock power.
So my bard powers.
Would become along the same lines as the warlock power.
Okay.
So Simarak would be providing access to that as well.
But even though I don't worship him, I get it. Or
As long as you say you're following him for the time frame until you fix the problem with the gods.
okay, so we just hand wave it. All right.
Oh no, it's not hand waving. He actually had a discussion with each of them over time.
Okay.
And so your character would have ended up having a discussion with him where he rationalised why you
Get the
follow
bard
him for the moment.
Get the bard powers.
And anyone who chooses not to follow him or Thanatos loses 1 level of exhaustion a day until they die.
Alright, well let's not do that.
Because
Well,
the gods...
Dimitri got barely exhausted before he finally accepted the possibility that Simurak might have a point.
Okay.
Yep, because the gods provide the protection from the demon world.
Alright.
It's not a
Yes.
god where atheism works.
So basically, what happened with me, Martin, actually not DM Martin, was my character was basically like, oh, but I worship this other god, but he is kind of allied with you, so, you know, as long as you promise to let me go back to worshipping my god, I'll worship you for now.
Okay.
So that's kind of the deal I made.
That's a good deal.
And pantheons generally don't mind a little bit of leeway, so you
Alright.
generally have your favourite, but while you're following a pantheon, you can technically follow any god in that pantheon. And all of them.
So is Redrian inclusive of Simrak or no? Okay.
They've never met.
Right.
And let's face it, I'm not sure that any of us actually worship Redrian, we just follow and do
Do
his
jobs
work.
for him.
Because he has created what he calls the Redrian Investigation Bureau.
But I've got a staff.
Mhm.
Does that mean I have, like, it's bound to him, or
It's
can
currently not working.
Right, it's
Well,
not
but
working.
isn't the various artifacts Simurak was able to provide support for in place, weren't they?
He was, but not for everything.
Oh, okay, right.
Right.
There are some things he couldn't provide support for, and some things when he was providing support, they changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Such as like the hammer of Whelm now actually has a polite tone to it.
Well, that's just silly.
Because it's no longer providing support from the god that created it.
Right.
On the bright
Okay.
side, though, it means currently it doesn't hate halflings.
Yeah.
It does, but in a polite way.
So is Simrak a polite god? Is that the
Well, he's known as the god of thievery,
right? Okay.
which means that he has been known to steal things.
Right. So, but he can mimic. He can pretend to be nice.
Well, he is nice to a lot of people. Looks like there is now a tent there.
That was actually pretty quick work.
David put up another picture.
Okay. Cool.
It was the tent picture.
Yeah.
He has
I
tent.
spent a lot of money on a tent that I had to do very little work with.
Well, I know I've seen some that you just pick up, throw in the air, and it unfolds and lands. Not that easy.
I used to have a tent.
Sorry, and then about an hour later when the windstorm comes, it self-destroys itself.
Yeah.
Guide rope still to go in. I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So that was a good recap.
That was a good recap. So in the moment, they are in the Mirror Universe. They are currently doing Night Whale. That is the name of the story. And you are doing an official story.
All right.
This is the story of how the gods went away.
Okay.
It's up to you whether this is also the story of how the gods came back.
Yep.
Still planning to lay down for a bit.
Piss off, gods.
Sorry. What were you doing?
Yeah, I'm right.
Thank you.
That's okay. You do have the idea that Thanatos, who is also the destroyer of everything,
Yep.
could probably destroy everything if the gods don't come back.
But he's nice, or
No, Thanatos.
he's not nice. Okay.
He's also known as the Grim Reaper,
the Grim Reaper.
and he doesn't do
Hence
anything.
what I summoned being his avatar.
That's pretty cute.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Avatar did what she asked it to do, and then it didn't go away. And then it started coming for the rest of the party.
Yeah.
So they showed you just how good the Reaper was at reaping your enemies, and then he turned on the party.
But they're all alive.
Yeah, so they managed to stick him in a slow spell.
Nice.
And then they
So
ran.
basically, we ran away because we're like, we don't know how to handle this.
Okay.
And then we were hoping he would just like go away after a set period of time. And then I found out from Simurak that he's not going away, and he probably won't go away until either he kills us all or we find a way to defeat him.
And does Dimitri have any good plans to take him out?
Thanatos?
Yeah.
No, Dimitri.
Or
Yeah.
Dennis?
Yeah.
His plan is to not be there.
To not be there, right?
Stay in the light.
Stay in the light.
So if they ever stand in darkness, they get attacked by things now.
Right. But because we're in the hollow world, that's easy to solve.
It is until they realise they were on the ground.
Except when we're in the to the big temple.
Okay.
And of course, right now, getting a lot closer to the sun, we should be fairly safe, except for the fact that we're being trapped into another mirror universe.
Yeah,
The creatures that were
here's my
attacking you
question.
weren't here.
Okay.
Here's my question.
Yep.
We're meant to we need these berries in this pocket dimension to see. Is that because it's dark in there, or is that because there's like a blindness effect?
You think it's a limiting effect on the spirits of this world, because everyone who was sacrificed on the temple below are harvesting berries here.
So it's not dark in this world.
It's not light either. It's just foggy.
So death could potentially show up.
He could.
Yep, that's an issue.
And your light spells don't light up an area around you.
And yeah, I'm also down a couple of spells at the moment because whilst I have been told now by Simurak which ones are evil and I need to avoid, I haven't had a chance to like learn replacements and purge those ones from my repertoire. So I'm kind of even less useful than before.
And you also have been told that depending on what spell you want to learn, certain spells can't be learnt in the hollow world.
Yeah.
And so any energy dealing spells can't be learnt while you're here.
Like Fireball. Right.
Cone of Cold, Shocking Grasp, anything that deals energy damage is not something you can actually learn.
Right. So the spells that I brought down here with me.
You know, unless you somehow manage to forget them by critically failing a roll to cast it.
Okay. So I've got.
That's the nature of the world, that they try to make people forget things that aren't meant to be known.
Yeah. So healing spirit is not evocation, which means I can.
Does it summon a creature though?
It does summon a creature. It's
Uh,
conjuration.
Unfortunately, some things don't work here either.
Okay.
You can't bring a creature in here unless you manage to channel a god. And if you're channeling the power of a god, the creatures you summon here don't go away,
All right.
which might actually annoy it. You don't get control of it, as they found out when they summoned a unicorn here.
Okay.
And death.
And death. So, all right. So I can't summon light or evocation.
You can create light,
Right.
but light doesn't work in this shadow dimension.
Like in the
Are we in the shadow dimension right
You're
now?
in a shadow dimension at the moment.
Okay.
That's what the mirror area is a shadow dimension.
Okay. Thank you.
And they have learnt that no matter what light spell they cast, doesn't work there. But their other spells work better here than they did in the hollow world.
Yeah.
Just that nothing relating to light or radiance has any effect.
How about dark vision?
Well, dark vision doesn't show you any more than normal vision.
Yeah, the problem is it's not so much that there's a lack of light visible. It's just too foggy to see through. But like, it's not even like real fog.
Yeah. All right.
So for every berry you pick, you see another 10 feet in all directions. And for every for every berry you give up, you see 10 less feet in all directions.
When you say give up,
You can give it to another player,
Or lose in some way.
or lose in some way.
okay.
Does that include eating them?
They're made of metal.
Oh.
So if you want to eat them, I don't think you'll be losing them, but you might get a full stomach soon.
Yeah, they'll be just like good berries. They count as a full meal for the whole day and the week after that.
But don't actually give you any hit points.
No.
Alright.
and will kill you because they're not actually food.
And they're not made of a metal you recognize. Because the plants here are all metallic. They have metal bugs that grow out of them and then feed on them.
Yeah.
They have big metal girders they carry to the edge of the world and bolt on and extend the land.
Okay.
And so you've been seeing what feels like hours of people doing this as the world is slowly expanding out in all directions.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you think this is how they're building around the sun?
And we've got to try and stop it being built because we are, because somehow the light from the sun gets corrupted as it flows through this mirror, and so therefore the bigger the mirror is, the more corruption ends up in Hollow World.
So what's
is-
our purpose in the shadow dimension? Just
Well,
to do...
We're trying to actually effectively break the mirror, or
Okay.
destroy the mirror. We're
Alright.
inside the mirror, and we want it, so we're basically, we couldn't destroy it from the outside, so we managed to get inside the mirror to see if we can work out how to destroy the mirror from the inside.
And how are we going with that?
Yeah, well, we only really just arrived, so
Okay,
we haven't
cool.
really got far yet.
And they only just found out that picking berries would increase their sight.
Yeah.
Because they've had one session inside the mirror.
Okay.
So
when
it's
you
a bit hard to actually see very far to work out, hang on. Yes, we can break into the ground a bit, but the ground appears to be made of some sort of crystalline subject type stuff that constantly is being, well, presumably it will regrow immediately shortly after you break a hole in it if you can, but it's also being constantly added to. And there's some beetles around or something as well as the berries, or bugs or something, centipedes.
And I know I asked you this question, but I've completely forgotten already. We're pretty sure Thanatos created this pocket dimension, yeah?
You do believe so, yes.
Yeah. So I'm just going to throw something out there, guys, just as a, floating idea with you. Why don't we start collecting people and, throw them back out of the mirror and see if getting rid of all the people helps?
Well, the people here are all
That is
spiritual,
not where I thought you were going with that sentence.
and you haven't been able to actually grab them.
That's right, the people are all insubstantial.
Is there a way to make us more substantial?
Well, you're substantial. The people here are not. You came in through the side of the mirror. They were killed, and the spiritual entity sent here.
Alright, so
Are their spirits susceptible to fire?
You can try. You haven't tried that yet.
we can't do fire.
Inside the mirror, you have access to all your spells.
Oh, okay.
You just can't do anything with radiant or with light.
Alright.
Good setup, Dave.
Now, if you do manage to tie it to your car, make sure you untie it before you drive your car off in the morning. I've seen that mistake more than once.
Well, that's the quick set down, isn't it?
It's called the tear down.
I've done that mistake for once. I used to have a tent that was attached to the car, and, well, now I don't have a tent that's attached to the car.
Or it's still partly attached to the car and to the ground where your campsite was.
So I'm really happy about this recap because I've learned a lot of information that I didn't know before.
That's why I do the recaps.
So let's talk
If you could go away for a few months all the time, I would learn a lot.
Well,
Just preferably not so dramatic next time.
I was going to say, but only in the sense that you'd pick up the stuff that Martin had missed. So.
Well, you would have missed the whole
stick.
stick.
Sorry, that's what it's out.
Well, you would have missed the discussion of the prosthetic leg inserted into the dinosaur to kill it.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Well, you were there for that one where David was he had wrestled one to the ground and then someone inserted the prosthetic leg and extended it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
See, your memory works well.
Must have been May or June or something. Yeah.
I think that was around August, September.
Oh, well, I don't remember it then.
You do remember it, so that's pretty
So it
good.
must have been before July.
Either way, it should never have happened.
So, Dimitri,
Yep.
fire on the spirits?
But why do you want to destroy them?
Well, my theory is if they aren't in this pocket dimension anymore, then maybe what's fueling the pocket dimension won't exist anymore because the amount of berries picked is sort of correlates with the size of this dimension. So if we basically take away the berries from everybody, and leave the berries here and get rid of all the people that are picking them, maybe the whole thing will just disappear.
The berries must flow.
Well, I mean, I guess like it seems to be a bit of a cycle of operations in this world, in the sense that the ghostly figures pick the berries, plant the berries. There's bugs that create new crystals or something, which is where they plant the berries or something. Right?
Well, they take the berries to a what looks to be a pile of logs, and then inside that pile of logs, the berries are then consumed by bigger bugs,
Right.
and those bigger bugs then lay big girders,
Oh.
and so those big girders are then carried out to the edge of the area, which then grows more plants, which then grow berries after spitting a whole lot of little bugs out.
So, okay. So, my thought is we could go around trying to kill the ghosts, but possibly if we kill the bugs, that might also form the break in the cycle.
That's true. Also, what happens if we try and rip up a whole tree of berries rather than picking them?
Fucking Christ, alright.
Well, you want to get your strong man to do that.
I feel
Yeah,
like
'cause
this is how the
I'm
industrial
wondering,
happens.
I'm wondering if we can physically pull up all these trees and basically create a giant metal bonfire and melt it all down.
Well, if only we had a draft horse or something.
Well, I wonder why we don't, Ethangarian.
Well, you assholes wanted to come to this shithole.
I believe he has been changed to you've drafted the Ethangarian to do some work for you.
Yeah.
As I said, obviously you weren't including Dimitri in that statement, because Dimitri said, don't go.
Simon didn't want to go. This is a dumb quest. Why don't we go out and go to war and make money? That's a smart idea.
Well, they're trading berries as money. You understand that concept?
Berries are dumb because there's no horses. I can't trade the berries for horses.
Well, you don't know. You might need more berries to find out.
So, Plum, and the sooner we resolve this, the sooner we can get out of here and we can get you back to your horse.
Yes, I'm well aware, so let's go and kill something.
Well, what happens if you rip a tree up?
I don't know. I am not mountain, I am man. With horse I am mountain. I can't just rip whole tree. How do you give to go?
It's more of a bush, really.
It is more of a bush, but it still might, be
Yeah,
insurmountable
right,
for
Martin
it.
pulls it up.
Give me a
We
strength
try to
check.
do anyway. Somebody roll something for me?
15.
+5, 20.
Okay, you feel quite strong as you lift it up, and then realize that this thing is pretty much wedged in there, a solid metal, as your hand slides up the stem, feeling it cutting into your fingers as you go. And you realize you realize you've just sliced your hand open in many places as you try to lift the stem out.
That's okay. I'm too strong to feel that pain. Simon grabs Worm and starts bashing the base of the tree, bush, shrubbery.
Shrubbery.
Did someone just say me?
Yeah.
I did hear it in the background. So let's see if you can hit a shrubbery.
Yeah, that happens.
Natural one.
No, well, somebody's gonna have to roll something for me.
I'm not offering to roll because I roll terribly when we need me to roll high, so...
I'll get honest. Me as a character will laugh at Plum the player.
Well, that's okay, because I rolled for you, and guess what?
You rolled a 1.
I was called.
Fantastic.
Okay, so you go to
I was also one.
Yep.
I'm guessing that means Dimitri probably gets hit in the head, because I was about to say that, yeah, well, when he tries to bash the bush to knock it down, Dimitri will just step to the side and pick up the berries that get taken out of the bush. But apparently, he missed the tree and
That was a very dumb idea.
Okay, so as you were trying to swing at the bush, apparently Dimitri was trying to pick up berries nearby, and you smacked Dimitri quite solidly in the side of the head.
He probably deserved it, let's be honest.
So, when we say consume a berry, and that extends your dark sight, right?
Well, you just have to pick the berry up and you can see further.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, you could just tie a little ribbon around your head and see 60 feet in all directions.
Well, it doesn't matter which direction you're looking. The sight just extends out from you. But you only see in the direction you're looking. The berries do not give you sight. They allow you to see further.
Okay.
So if you have 10 berries, you can see 100 feet further.
Right, but you're bound by the fact you've got 2 eyes in the front of your head.
Yes.
Right.
Having your head does help.
So how much damage does Whelm do? Considering I'm not a halfling, what the hell are you hitting me for?
So as Whelm hits you, you can hear Whelm apologising profusely. I'm so sorry, Smack.
Sorry, old boy.
Which is probably something Playman wouldn't be expecting to hear, which is, well, I'm apologising for something.
Okay, so was that audibly apologising? As in, like, so Dimitri could hear it as well?
It was audible, the apology.
Okay, because I don't know that Whelm's actually spoken audibly much, has he?
Not very often, unless it was singing.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what's the damage dice for Whelm?
Or does it do minimal damage because it was accidental?
Well, let's see. Whelm. I have Whelm up here.
Let's just see. I can tell you right now exactly what it is.
Yep.
If you'd really like to know the damage.
Absolutely.
Righto, hang on 2 secs. I'll just bring that up.
Okay, consider the fact that I was the one that rolled the 1.
48 plus 5.
D8 plus 5.
48 plus 5.
4d8 plus
48 plus
5.
5. Well, where are we? Let's see if I can roll a nice 24 on my 48.
That's half my hit
32,
points.
sorry.
I think.
Not quite. 6, 12, 17 plus 5 is 22.
So 22 is quite extensive smash.
Yeah, that's good.
Upon seeing these developments, I'm going to just say maybe that was a bad idea and we should try something else.
Well, no. Maybe you could try hitting the bush this time.
Plumman, upon failing, immediately gets angrier and swings again.
Okay. You would
He
like?
also blames Dimitri for getting in his way.
Then we can have Jeremy roll again just to see what happens.
I was on the other side of the bush ready to pick up the berries that flung away. How could I be in the way?
Tell me it's another one.
No, not quite.
A 2.
2, yes.
You're on fine form today, Jeremy.
But Dimitri was definitely standing
As
back
long
this
as
time.
Jeremy keeps getting hit, I'm okay.
So you're still missing the bush.
You know, the bush stands still. It shouldn't be that hard to hit.
I'll give you 2 guesses as to what happens next.
You do a double swing at the bush?
Yeah. And none of them is aimed anywhere near Dimitri, sort of.
Oh, you might have got angry enough.
Yeah.
18.
The
The bush didn't dodge
Yeah.
this time.
That was nice of it. Add
Right.
about 8 to that, I think. Hang on, I'll just have a look. Yeah, 8.
You strike it, and there's the sound of a bell ringing everywhere,
Taste fire. What?
and it bends slightly.
Bends.
The berries
Hey,
go
Jeremy,
flying.
I did say attack twice.
The second one is 13.
Hang on.
Alright, well, I'm arranging a berry crown.
So did berries fly off the bush when the bush got hit, or they stuck fast enough you really got to pick them out individually?
Oh no, they did go flying off. So you and Willie were busily picking up berries,
Okay.
while Clayman is hitting it multiple times, just knocking it at slightly now at a 45-degree angle to what it was.
How long do you think it'll take for Plumman to actually die? 'Cause, I mean, I haven't been trying, but definitely been tempting fate.
Well, I'm just hoping you're hitting pegs better than you're hitting the tree at the moment.
Initially I was not, but now I am.
As long as your feet are still there, that's the main thing.
Yeah, and I haven't hit my dog.
Okay, so apparently pulling out bushes or destroying bushes is not really an option for this as the cycle breaker.
Apparently not. But it does give us berries.
Well, but you can get the berries just as easy by picking them out, I suspect.
Shut up,
Well,
Jeremy.
and in the case of Dimitri, it'd be a lot less painful.
Does that
That
mean I
definitely
can?
sounds like a Dimitri problem.
Does that mean I can cast my healing spirit, even though it involves conjuration?
Do you want to try it here?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Okay. You start casting your spell.
Yep.
Everything gets really, really dark.
You stop casting your spell.
Okay. And is that? But it's still.
And you see this zone of darkness right where you cast a spell.
I think we leave that sort of option for last for last desperate stakes option.
All right. Yeah,
So-
because I was going to suggest to Plumman that he dances through the black thing, but that sounds a little bit of a risk.
What the hell?
So you got this what
You're
appears
his friend.
you've got what appears to be this rip in the world you're in of this gaping hole of darkness. You can't actually see anything in there. And Willie's turned to you
And said, I think wouldn't be a good idea to go and jump in the darkness.
Dimitri recommends that you actually close that. That's I'd stop your concentration on that and
All right. That's interesting.
oh really? I'd close it.
All right, I'll take Dimitri's advice. I think that's how it works.
Okay, so you stop concentrating on it, you dismiss it, And you notice now that there's a sound of wind going as you let go of the spell, and the hole's still there.
The hole's still there. Right, so even though I have stopped concentrating on it, it's still there.
Well, you didn't have a sound of wind until you stopped concentrating on it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what I've done.
Let's go this way.
Alright, well I've got a crown of berries.
I throw some berries in the hole.
How many do you throw in the hole?
I don't know, like 2 or 3.
Okay, so as you start tossing berries into the hole, you notice the hole start to shrink.
Okay, good work.
I'm going to keep doing that.
Placing berries.
You end up having to go through about 20 or 30 berries before the hole shuts fully.
Have we got an excess of berries?
It just takes time to get.
Okay.
I've spent many hours getting those berries.
Alright.
Well, it felt like hours, but we don't really know.
Alright. Sorry for my poor experimentation.
It was worth finding out.
They wouldn't know until someone experiments.
I'm tempted to poke something up in berries in there to see if it goes somewhere, but
The familiar, that sounds like a great idea.
Hey!
What else have I got?
So is it worth trying to find one of those log piles and getting bugs?
You notice Plumman very casually assessing the hole, and then after a few minutes he looks up and says, "You could fit dead bodies in here." I'm just saying. What? I'm just saying.
Well,
So, here's a thought. If we can't kill the big bugs because they're metal and they seem impervious to things, why don't we create more holes and shove the bugs in them?
we haven't tried killing the bugs, have we?
No, but
Not
you
yet.
were just suggesting we try.
I'm thinking that that yes, the bugs might be, rather than trying to kill what amounts to the people here, that possibly killing the vermin might be a preferable break in the cycle. If that doesn't work, then okay, maybe we'll do other things. But and yep, we can see how hard the bugs are to kill. We don't know yet.
Well,
Okay.
I'm up for trying that. I mean, I'm also up for creating holes and shoving the bugs into the holes, but
Well,
we don't technically know what that's doing.
okay, but also, so can we see any log pile from here now that we've probably got a lot less visibility than we had before?
Give me perception roll.
20.
Man,
Natural
my
20?
dice aren't working
Natural
tonight.
20.
Okay. So apparently, Willie managed to keep most of his berries,
Yeah.
and he can easily see a big log pile off to a direction he points. You don't really have north, south, east, and west here because you don't really know which way is north, south, east, or west.
Right, okay, it's not north, south, east, or west. It's fog, 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 or fog.
Yep.
Let's go towards the fog.
Yeah, I reckon if someone's pointing to fog, that's the way to go.
And there's Edgewood and Centre.
Right. Oh yeah, upward. Yeah. This world.
Well, do we know which way is centre?
If you had enough berries, yes.
Yeah, okay, so
Apparently everyone else doesn't.
because presumably the okay. Certainly, I would think that if we're looking for log piles, I would also think that generally speaking, we want to try and get to the centre of this mirror if it's going to destroy it. So,
So as you're making your way towards the one of the closer log piles, Willie points out that he can see in the distance what appears to be a obsidian pyramid.
That looks interesting.
Looks very much like the temple in the Chitlacan, which is the one you blew the top off.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That
But
certainly.
it's got its top on it,
Still got its top on it.
so it's not a complete mirror of it.
It's not. It's a similar design structurally with additional add-ons.
Okay.
So they went for the optional extras package.
The optional extras.
Plus additional parts.
All right, let's head there.
Well,
If everyone's happy to.
I would certainly.
Is the temp also insubstantial, or is it substantial like we are and the bugs are?
Only Willie can see it.
Yes. So asking Willie, is it
It's
solid?
I don't know. It looks solid.
Looks solid to you.
Yeah. Well, let's go closer and we can all have a look.
Yeah. Lead the way.
Okay, could everyone but Willie make a will saving throw?
Can somebody roll that for me, please? Somebody
Want me to
other
roll
than,
for it?
Aren't you going to trust me?
somebody other than Jeremy.
Oh, what?
So he does trust you. Only because you roll high for him nearly every time.
I've got a 12.
Okay, make you feel better, Dave. I got a 16 for me, so I don't feel like
I have 2 words for you, Jeremy.
and I've got the other die ready to go. I picked out some new D20, so.
Yeah, the words are please roll. Go on.
12.
I've not really got yours. See, if I had rolled for you, yeah, it would have been back to the 1, so it could have been 1 roll for you.
This is a wisdom save, isn't it?
It is a wisdom saving throw, yes.
I got a 9.
Okay. So as you start trying to lead people off, you see a couple of them start walking away.
All right, I'll call them back. I'll sing a song.
Okay.
I only know one song.
Song of Guidance.
No, well, yeah. All coppers are constables.
Um,
At least it's not D&D hole.
Right. Yes, I will sing a song.
Okay, you start singing a song out. The whole land around you starts to vibrate with your song.
Oh, good. Is that a good thing?
Give me a performance roll.
A 4.
No, it's not a good thing. Apparently, the land does not like your song.
All right.
As you don't have any charisma bonus.
Oh, yeah, I got charisma coming at the yin yang.
Then it
Plus
went-
5.
So it was a 9 instead of a 4.
Yeah.
It was still the land didn't seem to like it too much, so you can feel the land rejecting your harmony.
All right.
And everyone's and all your friends around you have got their hands over their ears. It's just coming across that bad.
Okay.
but at least they're not walking the wrong direction.
Well, obviously
They
it's
stopped
been
the moving.
warped. It's been
That's right.
warped by the Shadow Realm. I can't stop that.
Plum throws a rocket welly.
You mean a berry?
R-O-C-K, not R-O-C.
So yes, apparently you've got another berry and can see further.
Right, there you go.
Team Layman's helping.
Cool.
So
I've got good dexterity too.
Assuming that Dimitri was one of the ones that was still following Willie correctly, can we chivvy those that were going off in the wrong direction, saying, "Where are you going? We're going this way."
I mean, I'm singing a song, just poorly.
Yeah, no, Dimitri, Willie, we wanted to follow us.
Yeah.
They said they were following him and then they just seemed to veer off.
Right.
They said you went this way, didn't you? Pointing off in a completely different direction.
Okay.
Well, I'll go and gather up my flock.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Yep.
Okay, so you lead them off again?
Yes.
Okay, everyone else gets to make a will saving throw.
But you can hold hands.
They could.
Put a hand on shoulder type stuff as if leading through
Yeah.
darkness.
Yeah, that's right. And then me at the front.
You can't see that going wrong at all.
What?
Dimitri got 14 this time.
So I'm at the front singing a song,
Mm.
and then everyone's following me. It's Good.
Apparently, you start walking, and then someone just lets go of you.
Come on.
Well, I just rolled a nat 20 that time.
You watch Jeremy in front letting go of the halfling for no reason, and just stopping.
Grab
But I
Jeremy
would
by the
notice that
sleeve
he's
and
let
drag
go
him
of
along
me.
with us.
Someone roll for Playman.
Yeah, roll that
3.
for me, will you?
So, Playman started wandering off while you're doing that as well. Seems that your lack of berries is punishing you right now.
Well, have berries. There's all it takes is time.
Well, what about the if we tie everyone with a piece of rope so everyone's tied together in a trail?
Do you have rope?
Yeah.
Okay, you pull your rope out.
Good question.
And you start tying everyone to your rope.
Yeah.
And then Willie leads you off. People keep trying to pull off in the wrong directions at various points along the way, but eventually you do get pulled along.
Okay.
It's just a very odd path you're taking.
Do we can those of us who have got well, presumably the second most berries compared to Willie, do they start to spot the pyramid at some point?
Yes, you start to spot the pyramid when it gets within about 60 feet of you.
There you go.
Okay.
And Willie tells you it's about 200 odd feet tall.
I was going to say, so we're not seeing the top of the pyramid from most of us.
Yeah.
And the sides of the pyramid have what appear to be spears of crystals jutting out from it at all angles.
Okay.
What do they feel like?
Sharp.
So, Willie, have we got an entrance?
You can see one at the very top.
Yeah.
Just like those little mounds of crystals that you walked past, except a bigger one on top of the pyramid.
So what's the gradient of the pyramid?
Probably about close to 60 degree up.
All right. So we can. I mean, I assume we can climb up.
You can.
Do we have to use the crystal spears to climb up?
Probably wouldn't want to grab them because they're sharp.
Okay.
But if you make a difficult climbing roll, you should be able to get up there without any problems.
A difficult climbing roll.
Yeah.
That sounds challenging.
It is. It is a challenge.
Is that dexterity or
It is athletics.
is that strength?
It is strength based.
Not my forte.
It's okay. You could always send the the strongest one forward and follow up after them.
With rope. Okay, cool. Climbing. +5 or something, I imagine.
And probably trained in athletics.
Yeah, good point.
But the one thing you have noticed is Plum still can't see the pyramid.
But he's got the berries.
He's one of the ones who refused to pick up any berries.
+8. Just to see him, I go with you. I won't be able to talk for the next few minutes.
All good.
Okay.
And amusingly, he's the one amongst you who has refused to pick up any berries on principle.
Well, I'll just give him some.
Put some in his pockets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
For some reason he goes, where'd this come from?
Alright. So then, he's useful.
He just said he's happy to climb and he's a +8.
Okay.
So,
Alright.
would you like to roll for him?
Yes. 13.
You rolled a 13 or plus 13?
I know,
plus 8?
13, so +8 is 21.
Okay. So,
And he's taking the rope up with him, I'm assuming.
Yes.
and he's dragging everyone up behind him because no one's been untied.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
If he's confident he can do that, that's great.
Well,
If it had been me going up there, I would have been suggesting, well, hey, what about if I just take a different rope and
And you can feel vibrations coming out of the pyramid as you're climbing up it. And if you pause, you can actually hear the music that you've heard while entering this realm seems to originate from this temple.
Okay, so it's not me that's originating the music. It's good.
This is the origin point of the music that you had tried to disrupt.
So, dun, 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 or whatever.
I'm sure I can come up with a...
I'm just kind of got to idly wonder aloud to everyone that's being dragged up the thing, why we didn't, like, skirt the pyramid to see if there were stairs like the one that was in the Hollow Worlds. Just throwing that out there.
Well, that's what Dimitri asked me to do get into it, so how do you the top? So,
Yeah.
but hey,
Yeah,
hey,
I
why do it the easy way? You're adventurers.
that would have been, it would have been so much longer walk going down the other side of the pyramid.
Yeah. And it's different.
And plus, people might be watching that way. This is the stealth approach.
That's right.
I mean, speaking of which, do we see anyone else around the pyramid?
No, you don't see anyone else around the pyramid. You don't even see any of the bugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you climb up, everyone else starts to see on top is the largest obsidian crystal logs you've seen so far. And you see some crisp spirits. The spirits seem to have gotten sharper and more distinct the more berries they grabbed, and these really crisp looking spirits are walking into the top of the temple.
And because we didn't see them before, they went down the other side and walked up the stairs, is that right?
Yep, that's correct. They use the stairs. Plus they can also float, which also helps.
Yeah.
They don't technically need stairs here, so to be honest, there were no stairs.
Okay. But for some reason they're all taking a different side to the one we climbed up.
Well, they can come at it from any angle and
Yeah.
even coming down to it.
Okay,
Because
then.
when the spirits have no legs, it makes it very easy for them to get around.
Indeed.
Have we worked out a way to kill them?
The spirits?
Yeah.
No.
We haven't tried.
Should we
Yes.
work that out? Or
Well-
we just wait, suck it and see?
The spirits, the only spirits that we actually interacted with directly were either friendly or indifferent. Like they weren't hostile to us, so
So they chose not to attack spirits without provocation.
considering the fact we could recognise because the spirits were obviously the spirits of those that had been sacrificed, in the sense that there were peasant spirits, there were noble spirits, there were merchant spirits. So,
Okay. So we're going to be nice to them.
You may not end up being nice to the priest king if you come across him again.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say, that little miss would be like, hey, do you think that, like, priest guy is in the temple? Do we get to kill him twice?
I've only kind of killed him once, but it sounds good.
Okay, so as you reach the top, it takes you what feels like ages, but you're there before you really know it, and because light doesn't really change, you haven't really found yourself exhausted yet, or hungry, or tired. You've not actually felt any physical changes to your body since you got here.
Right.
So you've not felt thirsty, you've not felt hungry. You can spend what you'd think of as hours doing the same task without feeling any weariness at all.
Yeah.
So it could have taken you years to climb this thing, you wouldn't have noticed.
yeah.
And when you reach the top, you see that the top is a spiraling passageway down into the big pyramid. So instead of actually being a temple on top, it is a obsidian tunnel.
So we had to climb all the way up, and now we've got to go down.
Yes.
And what's the width?
The width is probably say about 30 foot wide.
Alright.
Big wide tunnel. Not freaky at all.
So we can send Plarman.
Dark in there?
As dark as it is inside and outside.
Alright. So Plarman has some berries, so he can see ahead,
Mm.
which is handy. Yeah, any other suggestions on marching order?
He seems to be pretty sneaky, so he might be an advantage to scout.
Okay.
Well, the first question regarding that, of course, is can people see?
I think with the good berries,
Once you spread the berries out, yes, people can see a fair distance.
Okay, right. So these are kind of, yeah, it's still a case of you need to have the berries to actually see.
Yep.
yeah.
You think it's part of this universe?
Yep.
And being a student of magic, you do know that created dimensions can have specific rules to help govern their fabric.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. But just confirming the fact that, like, considering outside it seemed to be a fog that was limiting vision. Yeah, it's whether the fog still existed down here or not. So I'm happy that it's needed. So that's cool.
Let's try and be stealthy anyway, even if we're not.
Okay.
If
Oh,
it's,
so we won't go out making deliberate noise.
if it's a group check, then hopefully we're decent.
So Dimitri leads everyone on the stealth. So Dimitri can roll for everyone.
Okay, cool.
Lucky party.
Well, knowing your rolls, I thought that would be probably the best and worst possible options at the same time.
Okay. Right, so my bonus is probably the best. That's it.
I've got +6, but
He's a stealth specialist.
right.
Watch him roll a 1.
No, it wasn't too bad. A 13, so that's a total of 19.
Okay, so you're sneaking down without the theme music this time. And as you sneak down, the blank obsidian walls gradually give way to carvings of skulls, both human and alien. They stick out of the walls, their jaws slightly open. And you realise that the skulls are the source of the music you've been hearing since you've come to this world. And they are chanting in a deep, ugly voice.
Are they?
A deep ugly voice.
Yep.
I know what that is. If you have a go, you'll get a go.
So when you say they're alien, are they
Bug-like.
bug-like?
Think the movie Alien.
Right.
Good phrase.
Okay.
Works well, don't have to come up with anything else for that one.
No worries.
And the greys.
Yes.
But they're not really bug-like.
But they are alien.
That is
And that's all
true.
it
Some
really
are
matters.
but our reptilian overlords are also aliens.
If you have a go, you'll get a go.
Now, as you come further, you reach an angular, peaked room nearly 30 feet across. From above, you see some of the spirits of this world drift down over the walls like a fog. The skulls draw them in as through inhaling incense vapors. The spirits then scream, and they seem to be drawn into the skull, shredding their life force as they do. And as they suck in one of these spirits, the skull gets louder.
Can we try smashing the skull?
You can try.
I'm suggesting to Parman that he stops the destruction of the spirits by smashing the skull.
Yeah, that seems logical. That's definitely something that won't bite us in the arse at all.
Well, so Dimitri's not standing anywhere near you while you do it, that's for sure.
So you smash a skull?
He's a really good leader, isn't he, Dimitri?
Go do that, I'll just stand over here. Sounds like any
You saw what happened last time. He was.
He's a great leader considering that Raya is actually our leader.
How'd that happen? When did that? Who elected her?
Raya employed 2 of the characters.
Right.
That's right.
So-
Raya is the leader as far as some party members are concerned.
Oh, I defer to Dimitri. So. Yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, obviously Dimitri is obviously the leader.
Yeah, that's right.
So does Raya see himself as the leader?
Depends on the circumstance.
How about now?
Nope.
Okay, so apparently your leader is deferring to another leader there, Little Miss.
So, but yeah, so does Parliament manage
My
to
problem.
successfully...
How Raya chooses to delegate responsibility is not my problem. So does Parliament manage to successfully smash a skull?
He strikes it with the hammer, no roll needed. As he does his Hulk smash impersonation, as a hammer hits it cleanly, the skull shatters. And there's a slight sound of like sound just disappearing for a moment as he hits the skull,
And then so Parliament can start singing.
and it gets
There are
very
999,999 skulls on the wall.
as he moves over and hits another one. You see a skull start to form in the area he broke it.
You might have to smash a bit faster.
It takes about you'd think the equivalent of 10 to 100 rounds for a skull to form. And as there are thousands of skulls, by the time you get around, they'll probably all be fully formed again.
Okay.
Well, that's just rude.
Maybe we'll have to continue on and see if we can save the spirits the other way.
Hey, Willie, can we
Yes.
hear another one of your songs?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Dimitri's pulling out some cotton wool.
They're very good songs.
Plumman's readying that berry that he has.
Put them in your ears.
Yes. But it could be...
No, I should throw it at Willie's head.
No,
No.
they're very good songs.
This has potential. See if you can sing a song that will disrupt the Song of the Skulls.
Oh, okay.
So singing the song of the ferryman, except singing the song of disruption.
Alright, so I will use my special ability called Counter Charm.
Dimitri's still preparing cotton wool.
You can start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. During that time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed.
And what weapon? What instrument are you using for your performance? If you use an instrument,
I mean, I can use my singing voice, but
do you sing or play?
I'm just singing.
Because I have had a bard who did interpretive dance. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, Jesus.
And I would act out the interpretive dance for the players.
No, I have not gone that far.
Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, I could do that, but I don't want to.
Okay, so you start singing. Give me a performance roll. Do you have performance?
Yes.
Then you get the bonus of performance.
Right. I think I've even got double. Yes. I'll say. 16
16 on the day.
total.
Okay, so he starts singing along, and you hear the skulls actually giving a sort of bass to his singing.
Yep.
As Willie seems to be dominating the whole area, doing a counter song. And the entire realm seems to be giving a counter song in return.
Right.
Does it seem to be having any impact on spirits being dragged or attracted into the skulls?
While he's singing, nothing seems to be attracted into the skulls, but everyone's magical items and magical effects shut down.
Oh,
Sorry, I missed that at the end. Magical effects what?
Anyone's magic items or magical effects turn off while he's singing.
so it's a kind of a nullifying thing.
So
Nothing
what
else
you're
is
telling me
happening.
is realm shuts up.
Is that a good thing?
It does. He shuts up.
Well, I'll just keep singing.
And you've got all the skulls as a backing group.
Yes.
One guy or songs from another guy.
You're back to quiet again from Whelm.
Okay, yeah, Willie, keep it up. But as soon as we see anything, stop. Like in the game, if anything's going to happen, stop singing, because...
There's thousands of skulls. Do you reckon you can maintain singing long enough for us to smash all of them with Whelm?
Well, it goes to it's centered on me with a 30-foot radius.
And also, well, may be much less effective at smashing skulls now.
Yeah, but essentially, if I keep singing, it is
30-foot radius.
It is a constant.
Like, as soon as when they leave
So keep singing as we're stealthily walking down the corridor.
Well, that is one of the drawbacks of singing, but the benefits of singing means also you don't have to look at him to get the bonus.
Right.
So that's where asking what you're doing is important.
So basically, keep singing. But if we see anything other than the spirits and or skulls on the wall, be prepared to stop at a moment's notice.
Okay, I will be watching out for weird shit.
Hopefully any items and stuff will start working again immediately as the sun stops.
Okay, so the ground. So you keep this up for about 1 or 2 rounds before the ground beneath you starts to shake, and you can hear a sound of anger from below. So yes, you can hear some a deep voice from below, angry. So what do you want to go towards the voice?
How far below it might be?
Not far, maybe 100, 200 feet.
As in down the corridor or
Down the corridor.
I would suggest that when we get to, say, 60 feet away from the end of the corridor, Willie at least might want to stop, but just keep singing, and we might see if we attract attention to us rather than going to it.
Okay, as you go further down, you start to smell something for the first time since you've been here. And the smell is quite a reek. And looking around the corner in the passageway, you see a large chamber and you recognize Kano immediately. Even though he doesn't look like a goblin,
Kano is one of the goblin princes we were fighting.
he's one of the goblin princes you were chasing. You noticed distended tribal tattoos on what must have been his chest and shoulders. You can spot a couple of pig eyes, almost covered with swollen flesh, and there's one slanted tusk in the middle of a pulsing, bruise-coloured field of skin. That's a goblin tusk, alright. But even though he almost fills the room, there's hardly anything left of what Kano was. Now he looks like not a goblin, but a tick, an insect loaded with feeding. Long legs, at least they look something like legs on an insect, stick out in 4 or 5 rows along his abdomen. The legs extend down into the obsidian floor. So no, not legs, these look more like roots. The tentacles of what you've been seeing inside the smoking mirror, so you think he's the source of all the plants.
Right.
Elsewhere on the body you see wide, lipless mouths, nowhere near the tusk you saw before. The mouths rise, and over the music you can almost make out the words in the goblin language. Near the mouth, a festering gash is filled with greenish fungus. Hanging down from that gash by its teeth is a small black monkey, with a thin body and long prehensile tail. It seems to be feeding.
Is this fireball time? Do I have authority to?
Well,
So you stopped singing to us that?
you were saying the fact that there was angry voices or noises coming.
Yeah, and it seems to be coming from him as he is shouting and seems to be angry and trying to move.
Well, I
Trying to
can.
move in, he seems to not be able to.
He seems to not be able to move.
Maybe I can do in my interpretive dance. I can ask a question about: is it fireball time?
Just gonna kind of go, don't stop singing, Willie.
So has he noticed that I'm singing?
He hasn't seemed to notice, but the little monkey seems to be looking directly at you.
Okay.
He's doing this.
And I'll do the same.
Okay, and you can hear the monkey's voice coming to you clearly. You heroes, all alike. No breadth to your thought. This mirror will destroy the world. We must stop it. I dare say it will make no difference to you, but I will tell you this. This mirror does not destroy the world. It does not corrupt it. It only brings out what is present to begin with in its people. If you humans and the rest, you urge to exploit, to fight, to destroy. Your hollow world's much vaunted spell of preservation. That is the unnatural artifice, not this. Here is this mirror's greatest artistry. It reflects without distortion. Think now on what you would destroy.
Well, I don't think we need to think that much. Because you're right, it could well be that the spell of preservation is a problem, but considering who's behind the desire to remove the spell of preservation, I don't think I believe you.
Yeah, I didn't get it much of that. I just want to blow shit up.
So, what would the party like to do? You have been called down by the familiar of the great goblin who you've come to save, or destroy, or...
How close is Kano to the...
Kano fills most of the room.
Right. So
Kano is a gargantuan slug. He
Right.
makes Jabba the Hutt look small.
So he's close to the other target.
The other target is hanging off him, feeding on him.
Right. Okay.
Dimitri's going to ask Kano, are you... do you agree with the monkey?
Give me a insight roll.
16 plus insight 18.
Okay, so looking at Kano, you believe the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Mm-hmm. So, but is Kano talking at all?
He seems to be gibbering odd words out in Goblin that don't seem to make sense.
Do you understand Goblin?
Staff and poke the monkey with the end of it.
So you try to go up to the monkey?
Well, not any more than a quarterstaff length.
Okay, so as you enter the chamber, the monkey shrieks, and you find a wall of skulls rise up between you and the monkey. The skulls look wispy and smoke-like, but they seem to be all staring at you.
Can we see the monkey?
You can see the monkey through the skulls.
Right.
What happens if I poke a skull?
It tries to bite your staff. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Nine.
Okay, so as you attempt to poke the skull grabs onto the end of your staff. It seems to be quite strong.
I'm not letting go of my staff. I'm going to try and pull it back.
Give me a strength check. An opposed strength check.
Yeah. That's a 15.
Okay, so just realised I had left my camera low, so there we go. You can now see things a bit clearer. So apparently it's got a better grip on your staff than you do. So while Little Miss is fighting with her staff, what is everyone else trying to do?
So Dimitri was trying to talk to Kano, so that sounds like it might be a bit of a losing proposition at the present time.
Well, assuming I can see the thing, then I'll throw a fireball.
Okay, so you stop your music, and you get another round of it going.
Yeah, it's... How does it work? As an action, you can start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. So I can kind of alternate. But, anyway, I'll throw the fireball.
You throw the fireball.
Let's get some D6s happening.
Give me an insight check before you do it.
Insight check.
Yep.
18 plus... Sorry, I've got to check all these. Where would I...
Insight is wisdom based.
Yeah, but I get a jack of all trades thing.
Which means you get plus
Plus
3,
one.
I believe, for...
Yeah,
Proficiency.
I've got 10 wisdom, so
We'll assume it's a plus 3.
19.
Okay, so what you realise is that this smoky skull that you can see through, wall,
Yeah.
may constitute a barrier, even if
Right.
you can see through it.
Okay.
And fireballs hit line of effect,
Alright.
and if something, even say a wall of force,
Yep.
you can see through.
Yep.
If you fire a fireball at something on the other side of it, you'll hit the wall of force and it'll explode there.
Alright, so I don't want to blow up.
You think
Little
there's
miss.
think there's a very high percentage chance that you'll hit the entire party with a fireball and miss the monkey.
Okay then. I'll wait for the wall of skulls to end.
But if you have other spells that do not go by line of effect, they might work. Especially something that doesn't go from you to the target, but appears elsewhere.
Well, there's a spell called Fear. I don't have the book to
I do.
check. So I don't know, but if it's creating an illusion of a fearful thing, then maybe it's not. Doesn't
Yeah, so
require.
that
It doesn't
wouldn't be
require.
effective one barrier probably, but it does have the problem of illusions have certainly much reduced effect here.
In the hollow world, yes, but in this dimension, maybe completely different.
True, yep.
All right. Well, I'll give a fear effect a go.
Okay, it
Do
is
I have to
a
come up with
it
something?
is a 30-foot cone from yourself. What are you trying to be fearful of?
Ah.
What fear are you trying to create? It's equivalent of, say, a breath weapon.
But it can go through the skulls.
It should.
Right. So I'm. Yeah, I don't know. Making it fearful of some.
So you could project a phantasmal image of a creature's worst fears. So basically, you don't actually have to think of it. Whatever the
Okay.
creature's worst fear of manifests.
All right. I'm giving that a go.
Okay. You cast the. So it takes one action to cast.
Yep.
You cast it, and you feel a bright burst in you as you send out this big wave of fear in all directions.
All right. But I Do I get to see what the fear effect is?
No, you just see everything around you getting hit by it.
Okay.
So, starting with Jeremy, you get to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah.
As you feel this whole wave, your power
Right.
of fear.
So he's in front of me.
He's somewhere
It's
either
effectively
beside
got-
you or
it's
behind
effectively
you.
just all kind of actually gone everywhere.
So you've done a conjuration, which didn't work out the same way you expected to.
Okay. Yep.
You've done something that you expected to be a cone has burst out from you in all
Right.
directions.
Okay.
And apparently the fear effect is quite powerful in this dimension.
Oh, nice. Kinda.
Wisdom saving throw, didn't it?
Yep, with disadvantage.
With disadvantage.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
wasn't the
that's my
intended target.
And magical items are not currently effective, is that right?
Not currently effective, that is correct.
Okay, so
Sorry.
one for the.
Ask, you said with disadvantage, but what does Willie's song do? Doesn't that do something for allies? Like makes them immune to charm and something else?
No, his song was suppressing everyone else's magic.
Oh, so the normal effect wasn't happening.
No, the normal effect wasn't happening, it was a counter song.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Well,
Dimitri.
during
got
that
20.
time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed.
Is that separate to the counter song?
That is the counter song.
Oh, so that is the counter song? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. In which case then, you don't have disadvantage, but you don't have advantage. You got a normal roll.
Okay. Well, as I said, it didn't make much difference either way. I got 21 instead of 20 then.
You got 21 instead of 20? Okay, so yes, and what is Willie's spell DC?
Spell DC. Good question.
It's always a good question.
Um,
I believe it is
spell save DC 16.
16, so yes, you easily make it. So, what was Little Mrs. Will saving throw?
That's 11.
That's an 11. Okay, so what is Little Mrs.'s biggest, worst fear ever? Do you see death approaching again?
It's caught up with you.
I'm not sure that's her biggest fear.
I think
You stay pop marshmallow man?
I think her biggest fear is the disapproval of Karameikos.
Okay, so in front of you, you see Karatiko looking at you, shaking his head at disappointment of your actions, and he starts listing all the actions that you believe where you failed. So your subconscious is reprimanding you right now. You let go of your
I
staff,
kind of want to back away from that.
and you have become frightened. So you get to roll for Playman. Who wants to roll for Playman?
Please do. Anyone but Jeremy.
Hey, I passed my saving
I got
throw.
a 7, sorry.
So, what is Playman's worst fear?
No horses. You idiot.
Well, good.
Disease, a slow and decrepit death.
Okay, so,
Would it be that, or would it be the death of your horse?
No. Just make more horses.
So, while you're sitting there listening to all these discussions going on, you're feeling yourself age, you're looking at your hands, they're getting older and older as you're feeling yourself age out in this world.
How long does the spell last?
Spell only lasts for concentration up to a minute.
Right.
And you see the wave go through the wall of skulls.
Yep. With disadvantage.
Apparently you rolled better the second time.
Okay.
So 15 and a 16.
Right. Really handy.
So apparently the monkey just looks at you. And the gibbering mess is more of a gibbering mess.
Okay.
He's now not even saying anything in Goblin, he's just shrieking.
Right.
But then again, I'm not sure if anything he could come up with is worse than what he has now.
It doesn't sound good. Yeah.
So if his thoughts represent reality of this world, you just put him into nightmares.
Right.
So yes, you're watching the power of your magic expand, and you also see it going up the tunnel, and you're not sure exactly how far your spell's going to go.
Alright, well, I guess that was a dud, so I'll just stop concentrating on it.
Yep, and you sort of see a wave of it going away from where you ended it.
Yep.
So there's this big, about 2 or 3 round gap of power going out from you.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything else you would like to do?
Well, the wall of skulls is still up.
The wall of skulls is currently still up. You do see one of the roots rip free from the ground and start bashing at the skulls from the other side.
Okay. So yeah, so the when the fear stopped, Kano calmed down a bit.
He did seem to come down a bit, and he is apparently attacking the skull wall.
Okay. Let's go. I will try a. I'll try a scorching ray.
Mm-hmm.
At the, I'll aim for the monkey, but presumably I'll hit the skull wall. So,
Okay, give me an attack roll.
So that is 13 plus attack 7, 20.
Okay, you strike the wall squarely. Give me damage. As you see dark flame leap from your fingers to hammer the wall.
So yeah, so all three hit the wall effectively. Does it matter? Is it worth having separate damage rolls for them?
No, you can add them all together.
5, 10, 19 damage.
Okay, so you see parts of the skull wall shatter and break as you hit it with your dark flame. You see little Mrs. Staff go spinning off into the air towards her as the skull holding it just bursts into green flame. As you watch the entire wall between you and the monkey turn green for an instant.
Okay.
Okay, so that is what our Dimitri is doing. What would Raya like to do?
Asleep.
What would Layman like to do?
Well, maybe Rhea's awake. I don't know.
Or did Raya speak up there?
Kind
There you go.
Okay, we'll go back to kind of. So Playman can wade forward with his mighty hammer.
It should be mighty again now, should do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I stopped singing.
Oh, and I might have lost signal. Oh no?
I don't know. I said happy to do that.
Oh no, it's just the fact that I actually thought I'd lost with Martin because I was standing very still.
Sorry.
Right. I'll wait for him.
Okay.
That's better.
Okay, so what does Playman want to wade in and attack with his mighty hammer?
Throw it out there, my guess will be the monkey.
If you can get to it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely ignore the Karameikos shitbag and try and attack the monkey.
So the case of whether or not you get through the barrier of skulls.
The barrier of skull got burnt away by your spell.
Oh, okay, so we've got to eliminate it?
It did. Do you throw the hammer or you run up?
I'm throwing that fucking hammer.
So you run up?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll
That's
steal
his
another 10
style.
years of my life.
He's all charged.
Okay, give me an attack roll for Playman as he rushes up to the monkey. Is he raging?
I'm assuming
Yes,
you're right.
absolutely.
Okay. So, Martin, would you like to roll for it?
Oh yeah, sorry. 15.
Okay, so 15. You rush up. You can hear the thumping of your feet as you go pounding up towards the monkey. You swing the hammer. You going now?
You did say 13.
Did I? Eraser? I don't have one handy. I'm sorry. I'll have to find one
If you
later.
said 13,
I'm
then
not-
it's pointing well ahead.
I'm not sure where that would be.
You'd think we'd have one.
I have a bag of them somewhere. They've been put somewhere safe. I believe I put them somewhere safe.
Yeah.
And with where I put things safe, I'm not exactly sure where that safe bit is.
Right.
Okay, so you hit the monkey quite hard. You see his whole head distort as you strike him right in the head. Then as you pull the hammer back, you watch the head just reform back into the shape it was before you hit it.
Oh,
That's not how that normally happens, is the first thing that floats through your head.
I guess Plumman's going to try and enter the head.
Have another roll for Playman. He does get 2 attacks.
2. Sorry.
Okay, so apparently you missed the monkey.
Alright.
Or at least, it looks as if the monkey just held up his hand and caught your hammer.
Mhm.
The tiny little monkey that he is. So now there is no wall between you and the big slug and the monkey. There is a barbarian trying to hit a monkey with a hammer, and the monkey seems to have caught the hammer.
Yeah.
And you are now free to cast Fireball if you wish to.
Alright, cool. So,
Don't hurt Kano.
well, isn't the Plarman right there next to him? So
Yes.
then I won't. Who knows how it'll be affected.
Because, as I say, Kano helped bring down the wall, so we don't want to hurt him preferably.
Yeah.
Have you got single target attack spell?
Not really. I mean, I've got Vicious Mockery, but that's a cantrip.
Cantrips do increase in power with level.
Cantrips are fairly effective at the high level.
Alright. Vicious Mockery.
Understood that?
So you mock his banana usage quite viciously.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, your mother was an ape and your father was a chimpanzee.
So just so you know, your character's currently at least 5th level, so you do 2d4 psychic damage,
Yeah.
and the target has disadvantage on the next roll. So you don't actually have to roll to hit it, it must make a wisdom saving throw or take that damage.
Okay.
The disadvantage of cantrips is if they succeed, nothing happens.
Alright.
And he got a 19 on his wisdom saving throw.
Then you succeed.
Okay. He just looks at you and just shakes his head in disappointment.
Alright.
It wasn't vicious enough for him. But he liked your style.
Okay.
So, just looking up a thing he throws back at you. He activates a legendary action.
Oh, really?
Is it a casting?
It is a casting.
I'm going to use a reaction against that.
You can. And what's your reaction going to be?
Counterspell.
Okay. Just trying to get the right spell for it. The amusing thing is they do change between game systems. Okay, he is. Yep, I've got the spell, so what does your counter spell do?
So it's a reaction. When I see a creature within 60 feet casting a spell, I attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting. If it's casting a spell of 3rd level or lower, the spell fails and has no effect.
Mm-hmm.
If it's casting a spell of 4th level or higher, then there's an ability check to try and interrupt it.
Okay, you need to make an ability check.
The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, if you roll a 20, you'll get through. If not, we're in
Check is
trouble.
using my spell casting ability.
Yeah.
It should use your spellcasting ability. I'm not. Well, I can check. Counter spell.
No, it does. It says that.
Yep.
It's effectively a skill check, so yeah.
So that's an 18.
That's an 18. Okay, so you seem to disrupt his spell on him.
Well done, thank you.
I'd be concerned if you hadn't.
Though for a moment there, it almost looked as if the bard was starting to fade from existence.
That doesn't sound good. Unless it was an invisibility spell, but probably not.
Well, hey, banishment.
Ah.
Except for where you are, banishment would be rather nasty. Okay, so that was his action. So it is now Jeremy's go.
I will just thought of something that might actually be of importance and value. Just double checking the effects of Yen's diamond. Double check. I will try and activate Yem's diamond. Just trying to know whether I've got awakened yet or not, whether it's only attuned. So, yeah, it's attuned artifact, okay. So attempting which might be instantly affected this one, but yes. Attempting to fire a brilliant beam of light at the monkey. Whether he's got to succeed at DC 15 or become blinded for a minute.
Though we did point out that light and radiant magic don't work in this region at the start of the session.
Yes, okay. Dimitri, we're figuring that, hey, the power of the artifact might overcome.
Okay.
And I'm happy that that's I said, the realisation that maybe one won't work, but we'll give it a try.
You also did note that your flame strike, which would normally have hit something with flame, hit it with darkness instead.
Oh, the Scorching Ray.
Yeah, Scorching Ray, which would normally hit something with flame, hit it with darkness instead.
Oh, I thought you said it was a greenish flame.
When it hit the thing, it caused greenish flame afterwards.
Oh, okay.
With the End's Diamond, one, can I see Dimitri with that? And two, do I recognise what that is?
Well, you've certainly seen him having it before. So, and well, he held it up all the way down through the temple to provide light to ensure that we didn't get in put in darkness.
It's not something spoken of in the Erendi religion.
Right, okay, so I don't recognise it.
So you recognise it as a powerful artifact, but not more than that unless he tells you more details.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure because, it's attached to, like, as player, I know it's attached to Karateka. I wanted to double check that my character, as a servant of Karateka, doesn't recognise it. Because otherwise, obviously, I'd have to roleplay some sort of reaction to that at some point. So I just wanted to double check it.
You will find out later, but it is a specific Hollow World item, so people in the Hollow World know of it, but people of the Outer World have never seen or heard of it.
Okay, continue. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. That's all right. Okay, so the implication being he's pretty confident that it probably won't work.
Yep. I want to give you that warning up front beforehand.
Yeah, that's fine then. In which case, he will go with, just double checking to make certain that should be fine. We'll go with the Wand of Magic Missiles. Probably some extra charges use. We'll use 6 charges. And therefore it becomes 8 missiles.
Okay. So you're using all the charges?
6 charges, not all of them.
Are you attuned to it?
Yes.
Okay, so that means...
No, not attuned to the missiles.
Okay.
Because that, okay. My understanding is I still have those. It just took longer to recharge for memory, didn't it?
If you were attuned to it, you got 2 extra charges.
Oh yeah, that's what it was, yeah. So 8 missiles coming his way.
Okay.
Assuming that they hit. Do you need separate numbers?
No, because they all hit.
Yeah, okay, but it's not like he's got damage reduction or things like that sort of stuff. So, okay, so that becomes 3, 6, 8, 10. 17, 18, 22, 24 points of damage.
Okay, you smack the monkey quite severely with your flying... what do your magic missiles look like?
Coming out of a wand of magic missiles, I suspect they look like fairly standard arrows of force.
I'm still happy to say that you change them based on your personality.
Dildos. They're all dildos.
I don't know. Dimitri's happy with tradition.
They are rather strange looking dildos there for our Ethangarian. But they go flying and they hit the monkey quite soundly, hitting him in all different directions around the same time.
Yep.
You sort of see him shudder a bit and then activate another legendary action.
Okay. And Dimitri will actually use his... So that was an action to shoot the missiles.
Yep.
He'll then use an action to basically, as he starts moving, he'll try and encourage Kano to, hey, yep, thanks for the help on the wall. That monkey's not helping you at all.
Give me a
bonus action I'll use a bonus action to try and hide.
I'll give you a persuasion roll on that.
Everybody listens to Dimitri.
I don't know about that. Not with flashing red dice.
I wondered what that was.
I was talking about the fact that he'd say, everyone listens to Dimitri. With a 6, he gets 5 on persuasion.
Though technically you do have advantage because he does have a reason to hate the monkey. So I'll give you another roll.
Ooh, I get up to 9 now.
Okay, so the monkey decides to do a legendary action at the end of your turn as you go to hide. You see him prepare to cast another spell.
I will use cutting words to
Interrupt?
interrupt.
Okay.
In fact, I don't have to use it until after I get to see what the result is.
After the result of the spell?
Yep, you can choose to use this feature after the creature makes its roll.
Okay. So, you can hear the evil monkey call on the god Thanatos
Right.
to come and take his target away.
Is there a way I can interrupt that with my cutting words?
And he goes to grasp
If it's a
Clayman.
spell,
You can interrupt an attack roll, an ability check, or a damage roll.
So it would be an attack roll.
Okay.
So this will be against his roll.
Yep.
So what did you get for your cutting words? I believe it reduces his attack roll.
Is that how it works? It says,
Sure.
use your wits to distract, confuse, or otherwise sap the confidence and competence of others. You can use your reaction to expend one of your uses and subtracting the number rolled from the creature's roll. So it subtracts 11.
So it subtracts 11. So is it a D12 or a D? Because normally it's a D6. It's the competence bonus.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a D20.
Oh, right, right, so it's not that.
It might be a D8 by the time that we're at this level.
Maybe.
Double check. It's your inspiration die. You use one of your inspiration die.
Right, I don't have that written down here.
I'm just quickly looking it up for you.
Sorry, thank
so that's okay. So it starts off as a D6. And
But I think
as
by
you
this
reach
level it's D8.
5th level, it's D8, and as you reach 10th level, it becomes a D10. So you're not far off at getting a D10.
Alright.
So you roll a D8 for the how much you reduce
Okay.
his.
So it reduces by 7.
Still quite successful
Yes.
reduction. So you see him go to reach out, and instead of grabbing Playman, he seems to grab Kanos instead.
Right. Okay.
So
Nice.
you have seen this the effects of this spell before
I was going to say.
Where?
on the outer world.
Right.
Yeah. Because this was the spell, this was the old guy that we saw at the top of the plateau that had been the temple, the driver or something. Not temple, sorry, the caravan driver.
Right.
Yep. And so when you see what appears to be the outline of Kanos start to get blacker and thicker.
Right.
Pretty much like he's been cartoonized.
Okay. So he's.
And as the outside gets thicker, the inside gets almost as if it's falling into himself.
Right.
And as he's doing so, he reaches out and grabs the little monkey. Because that was actually his attack roll to grab the little monkey I rolled earlier.
Okay.
I actually did that on purpose without knowing it was a
Oh, you mean
D20.
the actual creature? It wasn't to fight off Dimitri's inspiring words.
No, it was actually if he was going to hit the monkey, that was his attack roll.
Right.
And then you notice that the black outline go around the monkey as well.
Okay.
And they both start screaming.
Sounds. What?
I'm okay with this.
Who starts screaming?
The monkey and the slug.
Oh, and the slug. Okay, good.
And within the silhouette, you see in the outline, the black outline, what appears to be their victims start to appear, pushing them into themselves.
Right.
So you see them shrinking further and further into the distance inside their silhouette.
Nice.
seem to be pulled by countless green-grey hands.
Right. Okay.
And there's a smear seems to be left behind as this goes on for about a minute or two of screaming before the body actually disappears.
Okay. All right. I'll sing a song just because it's fun.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Has the singing stopped?
It did stop because I had to cast a spell.
No, not yours, Willie. The spell.
That's what I'm about to find out, because that was one of the possible outcomes, was you managed to get Kanos to help you.
Yeah, but as you say, so apparently both Kanos and the monkey have disappeared.
They take about a minute or so to implode into themselves.
Dimitri would be moving and encouraging others during that minute to at least get back to the tunnel.
And as
watching from the edge of the tunnel,
as the body starts to outline, you can see cracks start to appear all over the floors and walls.
All right, let's get out of here.
And roof.
Simon's definitely breaking turn initiative to fuck the hell up.
Okay, so you start running and running. And as you're running, you do see big gaping cracks appear everywhere all around you, and lights start pouring into this place.
Are we running down or up?
Up.
Okay.
Light as in like actual light?
Lack of fog, and feels bright, and feels like you're seeing light for the first time sort of light.
Interesting. Can we like go towards the light?
You can.
Well, Dimitri's working on the idea of going away from the the chamber we're in.
Okay, so as you get closer to one of these cracks, you can feel a terrible heat coming from the light.
Because the problem is,
Okay, maybe not jumping into the light then.
we're about to be damn close to the sun.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if we don't burn, well, we've only got to fall the distance from the sun down to the world.
Oh, I knew there'd be the fall. Yeah,
Right.
that I was pretty sure I was going to deal with when that happened.
Depends on which gravity is affecting you, the gravity of the sun or the gravity of the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that too. Okay. I'm just going to follow Dimitri and Raya's lead on this and run.
Okay, so
Without hesitating, Simon followed Dimitri.
Well, you know, Dimitri can outdistance you all. Because he gets dash as a bonus action.
Right.
So
you took a level of faith.
you're watching the mysterious Dimitri going further and further away from you as Layman is running along behind, almost keeping up, and everyone else is getting further and further behind.
Yeah.
As you see Kiki and Raya start to cast spells to help the stragglers keep up.
I was going to say, is Kiki part rogue?
Kiki is all cleric,
Or actually, okay.
all the time.
Yeah. Because I was thinking if you're part rogue, then keep I don't know why I was thinking of part rogue, but I was.
I get an extra 5 feet from my boots of elven kind, but that doesn't help me that much because it only gets me up to normal 30 feet.
Dimitri will be using part of his time to try and be running the easiest path and pointing out the easiest path to escape fire. So,
Okay. So as you're running to what feels like forever, and you reach the edge and force your way out through the edge of the mirror.
Do we start getting tired?
No,
Like before we hit the edge of the mirror, we're still not feeling tired?
still not feeling tired at all.
Sweet.
okay, so we effectively were able to get out of the temple quickly, but then we have to try and keep running to the edge of the mirror. Is that what's happening there?
It felt like hours to get out of the temple.
Right, okay, but out of the temple and somewhere out of the mirror in the same point, right?
And you ran for what felt like forever. You didn't know if your legs could hold up, but you didn't feel tired. You just kept running and running and jumping over cracks, climbing, barely grabbing onto things. You just kept going and going.
It's amazing how much impetus you can get with a bit of adrenaline.
And then you find yourself out on the cracked mirrored surface as you're watching cracks appearing all over the surface of the mirror.
Okay, so outside, we're essentially on the mirror, we're now on the inside the mirror, is that right?
When you reach the edge, you couldn't see the others behind you. You're that far ahead, but as you're pulling yourself out, they start coming out right behind you.
Yep, okay, I'll be yelling the directions type stuff. Are we apparently coming out on the sun side or the earth side?
Well, you're coming out on the edge, but the only side you can actually see is the sun side.
Okay. But like okay, so the other side, like obviously there's another edge where we could run to the other side. It's actually darkness. Is that what you mean? Or
well, the other side is basically the orange light going towards the surface below.
yeah. But the point being the fact that it would be a bit more protective from the heat of the sun. At least until we work out how we're going to try and get down.
How did we get up here?
A flying boat that your unicorn took off with.
Oh, it left with the boat.
Yep.
They left with the boat.
Dimitri tried to stake the boat down, but there was nothing to stake to.
Yeah, you bent 2 stakes trying to do it. Give me a perception roll.
Perception 21.
Okay, you can see about 200 feet off to the side of the mirror, the boat floating.
Okay.
And as you're watching, you're seeing the mirror start to fragment up. You're feeling gravity start to shift.
Oh, goody.
And you estimate you're about 750 miles above the surface.
Yeah. So. Big contact. Can anyone fly?
Depends on how far you throw him.
Yes.
Okay. I can cast a couple fly spells.
I can cast it at
Not enough
fourth.
for everybody.
Well, I can cast it at 4th level. I think that
Technically, you just need to get one person to fly to the boat who can then direct it.
okay.
If you got anyone with boat piloting experience.
But the point is, so Willie can cast it at 4th level, can you?
Yes. So at 4th level. So what does that do for me?
So that means you could get
2 people, I think.
You can do 2 people with 1 spell, whereas I can only do 1 person per spell.
All right.
And you can't, you have to sustain it, so you can't cast it twice.
Okay.
Because fly,
Oh yeah, concentration, yeah, so I
Fly is
can't cast
concentration.
multiple times. So,
unlike earlier editions, you go fly. You're going
Make me fly. Make me fly, and I'll bring the ship back. I am like, a sailor.
yeah.
All right.
And you can fly with her.
I'll fly you over there.
Or you can actually send her over there with Simply Red, who's also a sailor. So they got 2 sailors on the boat instead of just 1.
Who?
Which is Amrys's character.
Oh yeah, Ambrose went through a bit of a religions change and changed his name. So he's no longer Nasty Stunt, he's become Simply Red.
Simply Red. Okay.
Simply because he had had a holy meeting with his god who expressed disappointment in his actions and beliefs.
Right.
Especially his decision to amputate people with his sword.
Well, yeah. That's
Go with her, Willie.
okay.
It's not like it actually required necessarily boat handling skills when we came up.
All right.
For itself.
I gave you that as an option, but yes, you can go.
Okay, I'll take Grace over to the boat so she can guide it back.
Okay. It's much easier to go when you're not fearing for your life and holding a spell.
Yeah.
So yes, you manage to maintain the spell as you both fly across, watching behind you as a mirror shatter into many pieces and start to spread out.
And while as soon as they depart,
Yep.
Dimitri's going for, okay guys, tie yourself together. If we all tie together, then, well, I might be able to slow down the fall.
And insight roll at the same time, Jeremy.
17, 19, I think. Yeah, 19.
You also suggest deep breath as well.
Well, Dimitri doesn't necessarily think about that because he's got the necklace and everything on.
Well, you do know that they're outside the
The air is
atmosphere.
thin.
But there is no atmosphere in this section.
Like I said, the air is thin.
The air is thin.
Okay, so you fly across the boat. You actually find your air. You're no longer in a pocket of air.
Right.
You feel the heat of the sun on your skin. As all you can see above you is the bright light of the gateway to the sphere of fire.
Right. But it's not that close.
It's not like an actual sun.
Yeah.
So imagine something that looks like this big ball of gas is this big.
Right.
So it's a pinprick into the plane of fire that's
Yeah.
spewing out so much heat it is a sun inside the world.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
The fact that you're probably still at least some miles away from it, it's still bloody hot.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
remember, this is the thing that heats the entire hollow world.
It hits the land
Still more
over,
miles below you.
and the radiant of the heat is quite hot, 750 miles down.
Yeah.
So
We're a lot closer than 750 miles now.
Okay.
so yes, and you reach the boat without any real problem.
Cool.
You've got the flight, you've got the power, and you've got the sailor. So you've covered everything.
No worries.
Assuming that,
As long as I concentrate on the spell.
assuming that people are happy to be starting to be tying ourselves together,
Yep.
Dimitri's also going to attune his ring of fire resistance.
Which is
not
useful.
because it's the one that allows him to attune in a minute.
Yep. So you spend a minute doing so, which basically is about the amount of time it takes the others to reach the ship.
That's fine.
Which means that they get there before the spell runs out.
Okay.
You think it lasts for 1 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We'll fly his concentration up to 10. So,
Yep. but it takes them about a minute to get there.
yeah.
So as they get on the ship, Little Miss tries to figure out how to control it, and as you try to figure out how to control it, the ship starts to move.
Oh, awesome.
And
Any
it
words for the people we need to catch?
it moves as you think the boat should move.
Basically, you're controlling it with your thought. Or it's accepting your direction, it's accepting what you want, you're thinking you want to do.
Which
That is
means
fantastic.
you're making it sway and buck as if it's on water while you're riding the solar wind down to the other characters.
Yep, awesome.
You feel right at home. You've not felt this relaxed in a long time.
I am incredibly happy with this development.
Because when the
Yeah,
boat
so you
came-
get ships, but I don't get horses, do I?
You just wait till you get
Flying
seasick,
ships
Arian.
with unicorns.
But Grace, yeah, the thing is that yes, when we flew up, the boat didn't rock like normal because the person who had made forward controlling it didn't think like that for a boat.
Not my problem.
Okay, and you have no problems catching to the others. Before you know it, you're basically at each person, pulling them in.
Well, hopefully we stay somewhat as a group because we'd all tied ourselves together. So
And even those that may have been pulled apart because the mirror breaking up meant you might not have all gotten to each other, you were able to get them before they fall more than 200-300 feet towards the planet below. When they've got 750 miles.
I'm going to basically be directing the ship as if we're under a good strong heading wind.
Mhm.
So hopefully it'll track quite nicely.
It does. It gives fantastic speed, better than anything you've ever been on before. This is one of the nicest sailing experiences you can ever remember.
That is amazing.
Yeah, the intent for Dimitri was after we all tied ourselves together with the rope, then he could cast fly and or feather fall on himself, and then might at least slow the rate of fall.
Before you get round to casting the spell, you're being picked up.
All good then.
And you do notice that the ship is moving a lot slower than it did on the way up.
Yeah. So when Dimitri gets, when we all get on board, Dimitri says, "What took you so long? Why did you have it going so slowly?"
But you're still seeing you flying down faster than the shards of Mura.
So how good are these guys at like not getting seasick?
Dimitri will try, and if seeing large chunks of Mara going down, he'll see if he can actually hit a couple with scorching ray or fireball or things like that. It can begin to break up bits of the Mara, make them fall bits from my land.
Okay, you spend some time doing that, but everyone also gets to make a Constitution saving throw who's not a sailor. Because things are getting a bit rocky as you're going down. Because it felt like you were just standing on something nice and smooth on the way up, and now it's this rocking mess of as if you're actually on the open water.
And so
I got a 3.
Dimitri got 16 and says, "Calm it down, will you?"
As you're still hitting things with your scorching ray, just not always the thing you're aiming for.
Yep.
And you're watching Willie being sick over the side.
Steady the bloody boat! Stop it rocking! You can't aim!
I am laughing wildly.
Aim at
Having
what?
a great time.
And you can see Simply Red doing the proud-like moment at the front with his arms spread wide and hair blowing in the breeze.
With the Solar 25, Flarman is doing whatever he can do to assist in the operation of this death trap.
Maybe you could hold my hair back. I don't know.
So, Little Miss and it is Simply Red now, isn't it? It's been nice stuff, yeah. So Little Miss and Simply Red aren't doing anything to stop the rain of rock, the rain of crystal fall on the ground below.
No, too distracted, having too much fun.
They're using it as things to bounce off and sail against. Sort of like navigating a reef shoal.
Yeah. They're just beyond your head.
After they fall a fair distance, considering if you see on the map there is a blue layer around the brown layer.
Yep.
The blue layer is the atmosphere.
Yep.
And you see how there's the yellow layer of the sun in the very center?
Yep.
You're fairly close to that.
Right.
So how do we jump the gap, the airless gap?
Your boat actually provides you air while you're in it.
Oh, nice.
It provided you air on the way up as well.
Okay, good.
But you didn't notice because air to air didn't make much of a difference.
Yeah.
And so as you get closer to the air atmosphere of the inner area, you see that most of the mirror shards that hit it just burst into flaming comets.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
And basically create a meteor shower above the planet below without anything actually hitting the ground.
Right.
Well, that's why Dimitri was going to the biggest items on the idea of they're more likely to be meteorites rather than meteors. And it is concerned that the atmosphere or the layer of atmosphere is actually still quite thin, so therefore there's not necessarily much time for it to disintegrate. But I'll have to see if it's effectively all disintegrating. all good.
But it is a fantastic show, as all around you as you come down, you're surrounded by halo of fire and explosion. As the boat comes and sets you down right on the ocean's edge. Okay, so you actually managed to come to a place you recognize, Jeremy.
Yeah.
They managed.
Yeah, you mean again? Come down, always got to the whole world, and somehow always come back with all I've been before.
You recognize the region as where the gentlefolk reside.
The gentlefolk?
Yeah.
Are they big people or small people?
Well, they're big people. They're elves.
Right.
They're the elven teachers of the halfling.
Okay.
Before they were wiped out.
Yes, the gentlefolk, are they actually the ones that live in the vast forest we went through, where I met Yam?
That is the same place you met Yam, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you manage to bring the boat down, and as the last one gets off the boat, you see the boat just fade away.
Well, I guess it's done its job. Thank you, Oxyotl.
I will go up to Willie and pull out like a little sachet of like, it looks a little bit like cud, it's like a little wet ball of herbs, and I will basically push it into his mouth and say, chew and swallow. It tastes disgusting, you feel better as soon as you swallow it.
Okay.
Willie obviously believes you quite succinctly and does what you suggest.
Right. And does it help?
Give me a Constitution saving throw.
14.
Yes, it apparently did exactly what she said. You now feel so much better even though you have this horrid taste in your mouth.
Okay. Alright.
So it sort of feels as if you've had the worst thing you've ever had in your life on your tongue.
But it's good?
But you're no longer feeling sick.
Okay. Alright, I don't understand it, but whatever. Yeah.
Your seasickness has gone.
Alright. I won't ask what it was.
No need to know what it was made of.
Alright.
Okay, so you can see that there are all these really primitive huts along a riverbank with really nice little tended gardens outside it. Lots of smell of tea leaves in the area around you.
Okay.
Martin?
Yep.
So, where are we in relation to the two other locations that were pointed out when we first arrived?
You are not. You're probably pretty much in between both of them.
Okay.
You're on the.
How many miles approximately? Are we talking half a world or?
That I was actually going to do between sessions and get you better details.
That's right. It was just the fact that Dimitri will obviously be annoyed at Little Miss and Simply Red, thinking, why the hell didn't you take us down near the spot we need to go to next? What were you thinking?
It's all part of the adventure, Dimitri. Plus, the best navigable winds brought us here. Why would I want to take even longer trying to move against the wind?
What do you mean navigatable wind? You can control it yourself. Tell it where to go. Keep it nice and smooth. All easy.
The wind dictates where we go.
Not in that boat.
She just sticks her tongue out at you, winks, and then walks over to Raya.
Okay, so as you're doing that, you see a very pious-looking elf come out of one of the rude huts and ask if you'd like some tea.
I'm guessing Dimitri has had tea with these people before?
He has.
Yeah.
And you've lived to tell the tale, so...
And the amusing thing is, as much as people are irritated with Dimitri actually finds these people irritating at times.
That sounds like awesome company to keep. How do you get under the skin of Dimitri? talk to these people?
Well, they are Zen calm at all times. No
Right.
matter what you do, they won't
They're gentle.
give anything but a nice calm reaction to.
Okay.
I don't know. You
So
guys have
does
already
that mean
found
it's too difficult? Does that mean it's too difficult to read their response to Raya?
Well, they don't seem to have any response whatsoever except a welcoming response.
Yeah, come on. Willie and everyone have already worked out how to get on Dimitri's skin very easily. Take it back to the Hollow World.
Well, Adano suggested.
Where does Dimitri want to go?
Down here.
Yeah,
We've
well,
got to go to the
no,
opposite
just
places that got pointed out when we first arrived.
no. Well, like up on the surface world, where do you want to go?
Oh, he's got lots of places you can go.
Okay, all right.
Anywhere there's a library, I'm sure.
Yeah. So,
Okay, well, Dimitri says, well, these guys won't hurt you, their tea won't kill you. I guess we might as well have a bit of a relax before we actually head off.
One of them greets you in a unusual but musical language.
all right.
You have no idea what they were saying.
Okay, but I'll go along with it.
There are faint remembrance of words in there.
So it has a common ancestor.
Well, the halflings had their language lost and stolen, so
Right.
halflings don't actually have a halfling language in this setting.
Yeah.
Unless you come across the scholars who learnt it.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. Scholars.
Yeah, just ask Dimitri, he'll tell you.
An instant expert on everything.
If
Just
not,
ask him.
if not, he'll make it up on the spot.
Fig jam.
What language do halflings speak?
They speak their conqueror's language, so Orcish, Theatin, and Dwarven.
Right.
Each one of them had conquered them at one point.
I'll have to work out what Simply Red speaks.
So the one they hate the most is Dwarvish, because the dwarves were far more thorough at eradicating their culture than any other species who took them over.
Yeah.
So to them, cursing someone in Dwarfish is considered the rudest thing you could ever do to a halfling.
But the gentlefolk are elves, aren't they?
They are elves, yes.
Yeah. So, yes. Dimitri will respond to their welcome, or this gentleman's welcome, in Elvish, like Kalari Elvish, that is.
Mm-hmm. And you
Yeah,
find,
kind
as
of.
usual, he corrects your pronunciation to make sure you get the words correctly, because he knows you're a stickler for the facts.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really miss that part of these greetings with them, but they get you to repeat it a couple of times until you get it right.
Mm-hmm. So, but yes, he'll be aiming to explain that yes, my friends and I would welcome a place to rest and recuperate. So, and then also he'll inquire as to whether or not Yem may be in the vicinity.
Yem seems to be travelling at this stage. Maybe he's gone to the lighthouse, they say.
The lighthouse?
The repository of all knowledge.
Well, yeah. Assuming we are resting here for a time, Dimitri will try and talk to inquire more about where this lighthouse might be, and whether it is actually a physical location, or whether it's more likely, as he suspects, it would probably yes, effectively the great lighthouse in the heavens.
The gentlefolk elf you talk to, he tells you that the lighthouse is indeed a real place, but only those who truly in need of knowledge can find it. if the knowledge they seek is worthy of them.
Yeah, okay. But as I say, it was the sort of thing that Dimitri, having come to suspect that there's a lot more to Yen than he first thought when he first met him, and having heard now that all the Immortals are locked away, he suspects that Yen may not be in the lighthouse.
Are they speaking in a language that I can understand? Or are they speaking Elvish?
They do speak a bit of Elvish, but they also, when they realise you don't understand, they speak in a Thiatan language.
Okay, so I can understand what they're saying to Dimitri.
Though it is a rather stiff and formal version of it that just irritates everyone.
Well, it's the sort of thing that Dimitri would be conversing with them directly in Elvish, but when we're in the group and there's good discussion, it'll all switch to Thiatan.
Yeah, so my question is, are you asking about this library?
Oh no, the lighthouse discussions that Dimitri has with members of the gentlefolk would be in Elvish.
Yeah, okay.
Though they would switch and speak to you in Thiatan when you start talking about that, so the others can hear, because they believe knowledge should be shared. They would bring the others in on the discussion, so...
Yep. Okay. It's not like Dimitri was specifically trying to hide the discussion. He was just treating it polite to flaunt his own knowledge of being able to speak to others in their native tongue.
So they tell you that the lighthouse is where where every written word is stored.
Does that include things like how to defeat Thanatos?
If it was ever written down, it will be found there. It has become the storehouse of every story of every book. And they also tell you that the Nithian Empire is currently changing its policies, much like the Azcan Empire did.
Well, hopefully such changes will be reduced now.
And the Merry Pirates reported that something was happening out that way too.
I was going to say, the Nithian Empire is where one of the other locations was, wasn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And the Merry Pirates were reporting that there's something out that way too.
Now, it's not much point asking these guys best travel plans, because it's not like they travel around much, but let's say Dimitri will take time to actually reorientate himself and confirm exactly where we are in relation to the other two locations we're looking for. Mm-hmm. And in discussions with the gentlefolk, potentially try and get an indication as to whether one area is being affected more rapidly than the other. But otherwise, we'll go for the closest. After having a good night's rest. Well, a good day's rest. 8 hours rest. Preferably under a nice shady tree. Or in a hut. Where it's dark.
Though they do recommend that you visit the Millennium Empire, as one of the last things Yem said to them was, if you were to return here, then maybe you should go there.
And Yem mentioned me specifically?
He mentioned you specifically. He expected you to return.
So,
he was rather regretful at you returning.
He wasn't alone. And so where's the Millennial Empire compared to the Nithians and the other location we're looking for.
Okay, let's see if I can bring it up on the map, and I'll try to shift things around so you can see it better.
Okay, I'll try and bring it up on my computer at the same time.
There we
It's
go.
likely to be on there. Yeah.
Okay, so...
Okay. Oh, hang on. You've got a different global map to what I've pulled up right here.
Well, I've managed to, so what you'd see is that one there. So if you scroll down, that's the Hollow World planetary map.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm looking at. Okay, so yes, I'm looking at the gazette here, which is obviously the top half of the world. Hollow World. Yep.
So basically, you are in this area here. So
Okay.
that's where the gentlefolk is.
Yep, north of Korea and.
So the Azkans are here.
Azkans are there. Yep.
The Nithians are here.
Yep.
The Millennians are here.
Yep.
And the island chain is out here, where the third one was.
Right.
So basically, they would suggest going by boat down to here as your next step.
Yep. So, do they have access to boat travel easily?
They say no, but if you go to the Azkan Empire, they have ships that come at dock on a regular basis from the Merry Pirates.
Yep.
They recommend travel with them over anyone else. Because they unlike most other travelers on the water, tend to survive.
they tend to usually reach their destination. And what do we know about the mountains of Ikaria?
They say no one goes there.
Tis a city place.
Yeah, so effectively crossing overland is impossible. Is that what they're suggesting?
You are plagued by death elves. Elves that wish to sacrifice you for just being you.
I was going to say, is that is death elves? Are they the same as the what is it? The Stradenfeld elves or whatever that we followed down initially?
The Skatenelfen is the name they call themselves, but they are a death cult of elves.
Yeah, no, okay. I was just more confirming in my head that they were the same elf in the same sense.
Yep. They have given up the worship of life for the worship of death and destruction.
What can they tell us about the pirates?
The pirates, well, they are probably the best seamen this region will ever see. There's not one current or storm or coast that they can't navigate.
Well, they're pirates, that goes without saying. I meant more like, how loose are their allegiances? How much do they stick to their word? Do they know what gods they follow?
Well, they have their pirate code, and they seem to follow pirate gods. We rarely talk gods with them, because pirating seems to be very much different than meditation. They seem to have two completely different goals. We haven't been able to convince them that meditation's better than piracy.
That's because it's not.
I know meditation's so much better. As they start to go into the intricacies of how meditation makes your life better. They don't seem
I've stopped listening.
They don't seem to understand the concept that they could be wrong. You're starting to feel very much like you're talking to Dimitri, if Dimitri was pushed to the extreme.
Nah, Little Miss has just stopped listening.
Do they mention exactly where in Millennium Yem suggested that I should attend?
Something about speaking with the Emperor.
Right.
He's sure you can figure it out. He says you got a good head on your shoulders.
So,
And if you want to keep it there, you'd probably want to talk to the Emperor.
I don't know. If the Emperors like to knock it off, but yeah.
Give
Okay,
me
well-
a... do you have history?
Yep.
Give me a history roll.
History. 12, 19.
Okay, so what you remember from that is the Millennians were the ancestors of the Thiatan,
Weren't they?
the Thiatans,
Yeah, right.
and the and some of the other races of the area. They actually founded the area of Karameikos before the Troldar.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And that's why I was thinking, hang on, the Emperor of the Millennials is one that's more likely to go around chopping people's heads off.
Actually, I'm just reading it to make sure I get it right, though. I think they were. It's actually getting the names right because I flicked to the wrong page, I think.
Oh, that's a nice picture.
Yeah, that is the inner world.
Right.
The inner world has a lot of water. Okay, so actually they are descendants of your ancestors. Reading it correctly, when Halav stood against the Gnolls, the Millennians were the ones who fled Traldar and took a bunch of people who wanted to avoid the war. And they founded a society to the south.
Okay. Because I had the Millennials being okay, now I'm with that then.
Do we care about any of this shit?
They've just been told that if they want to survive down here, they've got to go see the Emperor of the Millennium people. And this is him remembering how they relate to his people.
Yeah.
Right.
And so technically, he has a racial connection to them.
Cool.
And knowing that you actually have a racial connection to a bunch of people is
He's
handy.
actually important.
Yeah.
Right.
That was why I was actually looking up the specifics of that.
Cool.
So Jeremy, you do recognise that you do have a connection to them, though a lot of your teachings puts them down as traitors and people who walked away from your heritage.
Yeah, well, Dimitri understands the idea of not necessarily fighting up against a horde of gnolls coming down at you.
So they managed to survive for a while on their own until they were overwhelmed by the location they went to.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because so who'd the Thiatans come out of?
The Thiatans came out of the Antillians, who also became the and a bunch of other races that joined together.
Okay.
So they are basically 3 core races, or 4 core races actually.
Yeah.
And they are more of a culture than a people.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
As I said, I had the Millennials were the ones that the Thiatans came Millennials, but all good. But yeah, so the main point from Dimitri's perspective is, okay guys, we want to go that way and that way. To get there, we've got to go that way to get this way. Pointing in 4 different directions.
And you'll be able to reach the kingdom of Nithya going across land. They do tell you that you will find very few dinosaurs in the Millennium Empire. By the use of horses, they have pushed them back.
I was going to say, the bucket loads of horses.
It is one of the... It is the only nation of the region who actually have horses.
Okay, we go there now. Now, let's go.
Shut up, don't talk, let's go.
As I just said, we are going straight there by heading out in the opposite direction.
Okay, why you talk now? Let's go.
Does this mean that we are going by ship to this place?
Well, no, it means we've got to go.
Okay, let's
Hang
go.
on, sorry, hang on. My phone just...
Exploded.
Yep,
So,
sorry,
so
what
the
was that?
point is, we've got to go probably at least several days travel north to get back to where we were, because somebody decided to take us down to the wrong spot, to then pick up a boat to take us even further south to talk to the Emperor and pat a horsey, so that then we can either go overland to the west or oversea to the east, although it'll be slightly northeast by that point, from there. To then come back to the other one, whichever way we go.
Yeah, so the important thing is pirates then horses, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm all for this. Why don't we leave now?
Because it's been a long day.
But we're
and
on
it's
full
just
hit
time for
points.
rest.
We're on full hit points, aren't we? I can sing you a song. It won't take long.
Well, some of us would be on full hit points, except that others decided to hit them.
I think silly bookman
Oh,
talks
yeah.
more. Why don't we go now?
And so, Dimitri's certainly keen to rest because, hey, he burnt off a lot of spells trying to stop the meteors hitting the world.
Can we recover spells?
After he ran out his fireballs and his
You just don't recover them at dawn because there's no dawn. You gotta, you can rest.
As you use back.
So you can
For
have a long rest.
every 24 hours you can have an 8-hour long rest.
Right.
So you don't get the benefits of a long rest within 24 hours of having a long rest.
Okay.
But as long as
So I
you...
don't know that we've had a long rest in a long time, have we?
You have not had a long rest, you can get the benefits of a long rest now.
Alright.
Yeah.
Let's do
Right.
it.
So,
Be
my
prepared.
question,
Yep.
am I able to use that time to try and replace one of my spells?
You can. One of the gentlefolk is actually willing to help you.
Okay. Because I might try and do that.
What sort of spell would you like to replace it with?
So, yeah, this is, like, I'm not going to work that out right now in game because I'm actually going to have to go back and read through the ones that I'm allowed to have and see what's thematically going to fit.
Yep.
So, whatever it ends up being, I won't use in game today anyway.
Mhm.
But I just want to be able, because like I'm going to have to do all this change of spells in story because of the way it's all worked out, and that's what we agreed. So
Yep.
I just wanted to say this is an opportunity to do that with one of them.
Okay, so the gentlefolk know spells of nature. So spells that allow you to grow nature or heal nature.
Right.
And they know nothing about protection, harming, or dismissing things.
Yep, I'm just going to make a note of that, and I'll have a look at the spells and see if any of them fit, and if
Yeah.
they do, then we can say that exchange happened now.
Yep. And they'll also be looking at, they can teach you a secret craft if you're willing to stay with them for long enough.
A secret craft? That sounds pretty cool.
Yes, it only require a month's learning.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to work. Also, I don't think they're going to be able to teach me the one I'm interested in.
Well, they've got this one about nature and life and nurturing.
Yeah, no thanks.
And it's the best craft there is out there. The other crafts aren't really worth it.
Right, it's a pretty good spell.
This one comes with the free month of meditation.
It does. As part of the meditation. Meditation comes as part of the craft. And the better you meditate, the more benefit you get out of it. Gets to the point you can even ignore other people hitting you.
Called combat meditation.
And when you're a true master, no matter what they do, it doesn't do anything to you.
Because you don't care?
You don't care.
Alright, so you can have the shit kicked out of you.
Potentially, but you don't care.
Yeah.
And he says it with such a straight face.
Right.
And he's very earnest about it too, and he says he'd love to teach you. So yes, you guys get some rest.
Yeah.
You get some time prepping and learning a new spell to cast, which you can figure out between games. And because it's after 10 and I've got to do some prep work myself, this might be a good point to stop. So we can then spend next session figuring out you getting back to Azcan and taking a ship and having some time on ship.
Sounds like a plan.
No worries.
And just one other thing about that replacing of spell.
Yep.
Like provided I find one that fits. Am I also then thematically in story like able to meditate with the artifact of Simarak and maybe have a chat with Simarak and like actually actively purge the one I'm replacing so that it's no longer even in my memory?
You can.
Yeah, so I can
The elves will help
try and
you
purge
meditate?
parts of my soul.
The elves are very good at helping you meditate and getting contact with your inner Simarak.
Excellent.
They're all they are very much there to help you get rid of all these harmful things and toxins.
As long as I get to, like, me and Simarak get to decide what those are, and they don't get rid of all of my actually okay spells just because they have a different philosophy.
Oh no, their philosophy is they will not have you do one single thing you do not wish to do. They do not believe in enforcing any form of will upon you.
Right.
Even if that is to stop you attacking and killing them, they will not stop you doing that.
Right.
Because that is against their belief.
Okay.
Which makes them a fairly unique people.
But okay, technically, they'd still be bloody hard to kill here in their home's territory, because let's face it, natives are always hard to kill. They can
Yeah, I
afford
don't
to
have
let
any
you
interest
stand
in
there
hurting them.
inside.
I mean, with a bit of effort, I'm sure we could take one out. But maybe not.
And you did.
Blind keen.
And one thing that Dimitri may have told you over time is that the less there are other people in the place, the harder those people are to kill and the longer they live and the younger they become until they are the prime of their species and they start the species all over again.
Right. So when
The
there's
magic-
only, when there's only one person,
You can never get down to one.
Which
They
one
can
of
never
you
get down
guys
to one.
is human?
right.
I'm human.
Dimitri's human.
Well, look, all I'll say is there can be only one.
Sounds
That
like
doesn't work with us.
How do you know unless you try?
We're not natives.
it could be only one.
Look, all I know is that there can be only one.
Do you remember when you tried that on the Azcan leader?
Hey, which one out of the two of us, which one is alive?
But this is the best place for a training montage because
It is.
you can get the shit kicked out of you while they're yelling at you, "See tranquility."
Well, they can teach Playman to kick tell Playman how to get the most out of punching someone up while talking about how to take the blows. Because they won't throw the blow. They'll never throw a punch.
Alright.
Fantastic. I'm gonna murder me some innocent people. They're not even innocent, they're kind of dicks as well.
But they are the people who originally taught the halflings how to look after the land.
Did they?
Look after what?
The land and grow food and nurture life out of the land.
Right. I grew up in a city. What the fuck do
when
I
those
know?
halflings came along to Ethingar and they tried to make gardens and shit and ruin all of the grassy plains, I have these guys to blame.
Yep.
For putting potholes in the way.
And growing vegetables and horrible shit like that.
And teaching how to make the vegetables grow more numerous and more often.
Well, this is just a matter of honour now.
I mean, I didn't personally put them in your way because I was in a city. So
That's okay. They're more than willing to try to teach you more of your native language.
no, I'm pretty happy with human, really.
What's the process for a player to teach? For a character to teach another character spells?
Language. Oh, spells. Basically, it takes about a week or so of learning, depending on the level of the spell.
Does it have to be in their spell list, or it can be any from?
It has to be in a spell list they have, which means the base one from the player's handbook plus any of the secret crafts they learn.
Yeah.
So that's what the secret crafts gives you, is more spells.
Yeah.
And the spells aren't class limited once they're outside of the player's handbook. So only the player's handbook is class limited. Which means if you learn nature magic, you learn nature magic. If you learn fire magic, you learn fire magic.
Yep.
So if you learn to heal and stuff, you can learn to heal and stuff without being a cleric.
Yep.
It's just what you dedicate your life to. Okay, so as I'm struggling myself as well here,
Oh, yeah.
we will,
That's right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
we
you.
will call it a night. And
Yep.
you guys have managed to successfully complete Night Wow.
Yes.
The first of 3 books.
Right.
Technically 4, but I'll say 3 at this stage.
Oh, okay. The first
Wow.
of what? First of 3.
I wasn't counting going to the Millennial Empire.
Well, I had something set up for if you ever reach the Gentlefolk again.
Good. Terrific.
Right.
And you know whose fault that is?
But don't
That
kill
was you,
them.
Grace.
No. I'm just following the winds.
And the winds took you somewhere where Simarak knew you were needed.
Like, where's your sense of adventure, Dimitri?
In the hollow world, it's up there.
At
Or
the
rather,
end of
down there.
At the end of a pillow.
Anyway, thanks very much, guys.
Okay.
Catch you next week or the week after. And yeah, as we said at the start, Martin there, but it's great to have you back.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's good to have you back, Martin. And also, DM Martin, thank you for today's game. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to
Thank
fly a flying ship as if it was on the ocean.
Have a good night, all.
Thank you for your patience, guys, with me and setting up shit.
All good. And next session,
It's terrific.
I'm sure we're looking towards a horse montage with fighting on horseback.
Even montage.
1 month montage.
We'll get to watch Parman fall off a horse again and again and again.
Okay.
Just live for the problem of the horse.
Have a good night, all.
Good
Alright.
night.
Yeah,
night.
you too. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys.